have been severely disrupted. Fresh water is in short supply in some areas, and roads have been badly damaged. Lives have been turned upside down.
Clinicians and families are welcoming Australia's first national guidelines for autism. The guidelines, overseen by experts, include 84 recommendations which set clear therapy goals for children with autism and make it easier to diagnose and manage the disability. Griffith University Professor David Trembath says it will provide much-needed treatment support.
What this guideline does is provide a set of evidence-based recommendations. So the guidelines should really help practitioners know how to work in the best possible ways to support the children and families.
And American actor Tom Sizemore is in a critical condition after suffering a brain aneurysm at home in Los Angeles. The 61-year-old's films include Saving Private Ryan, Heat and Black Hawk Down. Now to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
And it's Welcome to Monday, Tom Wren.
Yeah, it certainly is. Not so great, though, if you're a cricket fan, unfortunately, Mel. A disastrous hour and a half of batting has seen Australia lose the Border Gavaskar Trophy against India. That's in their Test series in Delhi. The Aussies crashed in the opening session of Day 3, losing 9 for 52 to be dismissed for only 113. India then needed 115 to win in its second innings and chased down that total with 6 wickets in hand. Former skipper Alan Border telling Fox Cricket the batting method from the Aussies was poor.
Yeah, they were all just getting out, playing sweep shots, reverse sweeps, playing shots to just about every ball. And you just can't get away with that on that sort of track. You've got to have a method, you know, where you're playing within your limitations really grossly. You're not playing on a flat belter where you can expand your game.
India now leads the 4-match series 2-0. Well, Collingwood's football manager says Jack Ginnivan's penalty for taking an illicit substance in a pub toilet will be more costly than it appears. Graham Wright says given the 20-year-old's contract relies heavily on match payments, the 4-match ban, which includes the first 2 games of the season, comes with a significant financial hit. To soccer, Adelaide United has played out a stunning 4-4 draw against the Western Sydney Wanderers in the A-League. The Matildas, meantime, have defeated Spain for the first time in history, winning 3-2 in the Cup of Nations in Sydney. Meantime, in the English Premier League, Tottenham has recorded a 2-0 win against West Ham, while earlier it was Manchester United 3-0 winners against Leicester. And Spaniard John Rahm holds a one-shot lead early in the final round of the Genesis Invitational in California. Aussie Jason Day's impressive form continues. He's 7 shots back in a tie for 10th, while Tiger Woods is currently sitting at 1 under in a tie for 45th. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Sunny and 35 today, mostly sunny tomorrow 36, Wednesday mostly sunny 38 and up to 40 on Thursday. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Monday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, we'll take you inside SAMRI after 6:30. Always like any opportunity to talk about the work that's going on at SAMRI, because it's all about making your lives better or making you live longer, which are 2 things that I'm particularly interested in. Before 7 o'clock this morning, we're off to the US. Unfortunately, Jimmy Carter, the oldest living US president, is ailing health-wise. We'll talk to Tim Lester for 7 News about that at 7 o'clock. The final ever song released by Olivia Newton-John has been released. It's a duet with Dolly Parton. You'll hear a bit of it after 7 o'clock today. Also, we'll talk about what is going to be an extraordinary week weather-wise. And then a little bit later in the morning, Tim Ferguson will join us in town for a fringe show. And, of course, it's a Monday morning, which means we've got a brand new movie to pick for Lucy's movie re-education. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. To quote Robin Williams from Good Morning Vietnam, this week it's going to be hot, damn hot. I'll tell you what, yesterday was a beautiful day, but today's going to be pretty good as well. But
they're all hot.
Some 40s, 2 in a row coming up. We haven't had that for several years.
2019 was the last time we had what was a heat wave, the likes of this week. So 35 today, 36, 38, 40, 40.
Yep.
The last 3 weeks in a way, Thursday's been the headliner, weather-wise. It's funny how we slip into these weird little patterns. It is again this week, but 40, 40 Thursday and Friday. Then it cools down a little bit for the weekend. That is
And not much either.
Serious heat. 30 Saturday, 25 on Sunday.
Yep. So brace yourself, folks. I hope you're all mulching, or you wouldn't want to be out in the garden during the heat this week. If you use your time wisely on the weekend, because it's going to. A lot of the plants will get absolutely clobbered. We've got an avocado tree in our house. It's the first thing I looked at when we went to the open inspection. I said to Kate, "That is an avocado tree. How cool is that? We're going to be living on guacamole here." So I think we should buy the house. But when we had that 46-degree day, about a third of the tree died. It just got utterly nuked by the heat. And only now has it sort of recovered.
Isn't it fun? It's funny how much hot days give you a sense how many trees we've brought to this country. How many things you have in your garden that suddenly die that were never designed to live in a 40-degree temperature day because they just wither.
Well, it's funny because so avocados are from Mexico, and the Mexican climate's pretty similar to ours, where it does get up to occasionally it gets up to 40 degrees.
It'd be wetter though, wouldn't it?
No, not really.
Isn't it?
Oh, well, it
Close to the
depends.
equator.
Southern Mexico is tropical, but central Mexico, where most of the Mexicans live, is pretty much exactly like Adelaide.
All right.
Where you get the 4 seasons, a nice Mediterranean climate. But so, you think about it, a tree like that, and this is one of the reasons why climate change matters. An avocado tree is actually designed to occasionally take heat that's in the low 40s, but it's not designed to take 46. So it shows that the gap from I don't know, a week, a year of 40-degree days versus one 46.6 degree day is enough for that tree to go, I'm out.
Yeah.
I can't deal with this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But if you dry herbs, if you grow herbs, like say you've got a whole bunch of sage and basil and stuff and parsley, and you think, well, I've got a whole heap of it. I'm going to dry it and save it, the same way the people at Masterfoods dry it. The temperature at which you dry it in the oven is 50 degrees.
It's not far off.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you're almost getting slow cooked on those days, aren't you?
Well, you are.
Yeah.
You really are.
Ben Jordan, our resident statsman, says the forecast average for this week at 37.8 is hot, but the February record was from the 9th to the 13th of February back in 1899 with an average of 41.5 degrees, including 2 days that hit 43. So we hit 2 days that hit 40. The all-time February record is a week where the average was 41.5. That is seriously hot. Mick on the Dutton's text line makes a good point. He says, morning, lads. With a heat wave coming, can you ask if the Aberfoyle Park, Happy Valley and Flagstaff Hill area are going to get an observation spot on the Bureau, considering the sheer number of young families living up here and we don't get a mention?
It's a good point.
It's a really good point.
It's not like it's a new part of town either. Flagstaff Hill started in about 1975 or 6, I reckon. Because as a kid, I can remember we used to go up there with our go-kart that Dad had built. Because there were all these fantastic new land release areas where they put the roads in first. There's an idea, roads in first. But it felt like the end of the earth at that point, Flagstaff Hill. But Mick's right, it's a vast area now.
So the Adelaide area observations are West Terrace, the airport, Edinburgh, Hindmarsh Island, Kaipo, Mount Barker, Mount Crawford, Mount Lofty, Murray Bridge, Noarlunga, Nurriutpa, Outer Harbour, Palomana, Parafield, Parrawell West, Roseworthy, Sellex Hill, Strathalbyn and Victor Harbour. So you can see what they've tried to do, get some sort of outlying areas, but it's a reasonable point you make, Mick, with regard to an area that's now pretty central. I mean, the idea that you could get a rough concept of what's happening weather-wise across Adelaide by just having West Terrace and the airport seems pretty outdated now.
Someone's texted in going, thought it was Saturday morning with Michael Keelan for a minute there. It's no secret that I want that spot. But, breakfast radio for me is just
it's a gateway.
It's a Trojan horse. Yeah. I'm in the building.
I'm looking forward to John Blake's take on you as Michael Keelan. I think that'll be excellent. That'll be fantastic. Now, 12 minutes after 6, we're going to take a break. We've got some news headlines coming up for you in just a moment.
For over 38 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip.
With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. You won't find a better range of cars covering the entire region from Gawler to the Barossa Valley and Clare. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. Great local deals on great local cars from your locals. Steinborner Automotive. Still well worth a trip or well worth the click.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Here's who you can support around Adelaide. See classic F1 cars, Group A, V8 supercars, alongside electric race cars and brand displays at Victoria Park, March 25 and 26. Search Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Join Brett Kavanagh and Debbie Fitzsimmons for music from the cinema and organ spectacular at the Capri Theatre, Sunday, February 26. Book at capri.com.au.
Something magic is about to begin. Disney and Cameron McIntosh's Mary Poppins flies into Adelaide this July for a strictly limited season. Discover the magic and undeniable wonder of this critically acclaimed new production. Mary Poppins. Book at Ticketek.
Toof and Toop's Bronte Manuel gives his prediction for the property market this year.
While it's unlikely Adelaide property is going to experience the record growth rates of the past couple of years, it's certainly not all doom and gloom for sellers. With low stock levels and plenty of buyers still trying to secure their dream home, prices here should remain comparatively steady.
And which suburbs are set to boom?
Well, an old real estate trick is to buy next to the hot suburbs. Using that theory, I'd like to think there are great opportunities in suburbs like Marden, Kilkenny and Redwood Park.
And how does the Adelaide property market measure up against the other states?
In Melbourne and Sydney, home values have dropped significantly over the past 12 months, but Adelaide has defied that trend.
If you'd like to find out if your home could be the next record breaker, go to toop.com.au to find out more.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
15 minutes after 6. News headlines in a moment. The Duttons text line. 3 dealerships, 10 franchises in the Adelaide Hills and Murray Bridge. Duttons, easy to do business with. Already with suggestions for Rennie's winners and losers of the weekend. Rennie in the studio in just a moment. Guy in Highgate says this week's big loser has to be the Aussie cricket team. What a spineless second innings. This team is just so hard to like. Couldn't agree with you more, Guy. We'll talk about the cricket with Rennie in a few moments' time.
That was the most confronting television I've watched since that documentary about the Jonestown massacre, and it was so similar in so many ways. It was like this sort of weird pact that had been formed in the change rooms. Unbelievable. It was just bizarre.
There are fears 2 South Australians have been killed in a plane crash in the central Philippines. A Cessna with 4 people on board came down over the weekend, only several hundred metres from a volcano. Engineers Simon Chipperfield and Kathy Santanaman, who worked for Santos, or at least did once, were now employed by a Filipino company. They were returning from a visit to a local power plant when the plane crashed. The Australian Embassy is providing consular assistance to their families.
Unbelievable. It's a very sad story.
Roald Dahl's children books are being rewritten to remove terms deemed offensive. The publisher has hired sensitivity readers to rewrite parts of the book, including the descriptions of characters' physical appearances with words like fat and ugly removed. There was one that I thought was particularly humorous. The advertiser did a good job writing about this. Let me find it. In Dahl's The Witches, first published in 1983, a paragraph noting that witches are bald beneath their wigs includes a new line that reads, "There are plenty of other reasons why women might wear wigs, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that." I mean, the cleverness of it is it's almost indecipherable from the original Roald Dahl, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it just rolls off the tongue.
It's very, very clever.
Now... I just want to share a tweet that I screenshotted this because I thought this really is a tweet for the times we live in. So, the news website The Guardian, they ran what I regard as a perfectly mundane story last week. Chronic disease is the biggest killer of Australians, and it's getting worse. And it talks about health and obesity. So there's a picture that they took, a side-on picture of someone whom, in a less sensitive time, you might describe as fat.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because they're overweight, seriously overweight. Now, the person's head does not appear in the photograph. It's a side-on shot of a person with about 4 rolls on their tummy who's clearly been living in the good paddock, and it's used to illustrate the piece. Now, there's someone called Dr. Liz Allen who has gone berserk about this photograph and story, and she's done a screenshot of it, and then she started her own little Twitter war with @GuardianAustralia. She's written, "Hey, @GuardianAustralia, please remove this pic. It violates the recommended depiction of overweight people in media. This image plays into nasty stereotypes and disempowers the majority of the Australian adult population who happen to be overweight. These stereotypes hinder health." How are you meant to illustrate a story about fat people?
Geez, I tell you what, if the Guardian's getting pulled up on Twitter, what hope do the rest of us have?
I know. That's the most PC media outlet in the world.
They would have
you and I are completely stuffed with it.
They would have convened a crisis meeting after that tweet.
Oh, no, that'd be in all sorts.
There probably would have been people sacked.
I'm amazed the website's still functioning.
That is extraordinary. I mean, that's what the substance of the story is.
Yeah, I know.
That's the whole point.
It's well, I mean, how are you going to be able to describe anything in future without upsetting someone?
Well, I think the idea is if what you're describing is going to upset someone, you don't do it. I actually genuinely think that's the world that some people think we should ultimately arrive at.
But if you take it to its logical extension, you'll never say, "I'm in 2 minds about going to the Christmas party," because it might be perceived by some as a slight on those suffering from schizophrenia.
I actually don't think that is an out of this world exaggeration to have said that.
Well, actually, a friend of mine, Tori Maguire, she wrote a column about Labor's schizoid. She used the term schizoid. She said Labor's schizoid position on border protection. And she got a formal letter to her from SANE, which is a mental health lobby group, saying, "Please cease and desist from using this term." But let's go through Shakespeare, because there's thousands of words he used that might upset people.
The 5th COVID vaccine shot is being rolled out from today. They're available from hundreds of GPs and pharmacies across the state, and you can book online. The death toll from New Zealand's worst storm in decades has risen to 11. Almost 30,000 homes remain without power. Some areas are without fresh water supplies. The clean-up is continuing from Cyclone Gabrielle. The country's Prime Minister Chris Hipkins says officials are working to contact about 3,000 people impacted by the storm.
28,000 homes remain without power. Telecommunications have been severely disrupted. Fresh water is in short supply in some areas, and roads have been badly damaged. Lives have been turned upside down.
And speaking of natural disasters, none come bigger than the 2 earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Officials in Turkey have ended rescue efforts now in all but 2 provinces. No survivors have been found since Saturday. The death toll has climbed higher than 44,000. On a tour of the region, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced further US aid.
We've had about $85 million worth of assistance poured in immediately for housing, water, and food, and medicine, and clothing. Today I can announce that we will be bringing another $100 million.
So 44,000 is like Mount Barker and Mount Gambier being wiped off the map. Well, it's hard to...
Yeah.
It's
just terrible.
Hard to fathom. The weather is quite remarkable in Adelaide this week. It's going to be a top of 35 today. The 15 degrees right now doesn't reveal what's really ahead. Tuesday 36, Wednesday 38, Thursday 40, Friday 40 as well, before dropping back for the weekend, 30 and 25. Dutton's text line is usually a good indication of where people's sentiment is at on a Monday morning. And I can tell you, people want to hear from Tom Wren because they want to unload on the Australian cricket team. Rennie is in the studio. Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au. Rennie, I'll just give you a little indication. Carbon-free Cummins has brought the softest edge to this cricket side. Is the kind of stuff we're getting through this morning. Australians aren't happy, Rennie, because that was happy. Pathetic.
Oh, we started out so well. Well, I do my winners and losers on a Monday morning, boys, and there aren't too many winners, so this is what I've got pretty much for you this morning. I've got losers, politically incorrect losers and just flat-out losers.
Okay, good. Let's do it.
Should we start with the flat-out losers?
Yep.
This is how it all unfolded and finished, unfortunately, for the Australians in the second test in Delhi.
Pujara goes over the top. What a moment and what a finish for Cheteshwar Pujara. Wonderful to see that these things can still happen in sport. 100th test match and Cheteshwar Pujara seals it.
Yeah, he hit the winning run, so well done to him. India win by 6 wickets. That audio thanks to Fox Cricket. Who would have thought at the start of the day it would be over midway through the day? So much hope, and I think from a South Aussie perspective, we were hoping Trav would make that big one. And he hit a 4, opening couple of balls, but then out in the first over. They lost 9 for 52.
Well, at least Head got out against a really good delivery, and he was trying his best to defend.
Yeah.
He didn't throw his wicket away like the next 8 batsmen did.
The premeditation of the sweep shot, it just came unstuck in a really bad way.
That comes down to coaching, and it comes down to the captain too. And look, sure, Cummins played a great knock in that first innings. But that was like some sort of suicide pact, the way they were batting. It was just unbelievable.
And his first ball was
How does someone not say, hey guys, let's just stop playing these stupid sweep shots?
7 for 120 India on day 2. We've lost the test by the second session on day 3. It's hard to fathom.
That's what makes it so bad, because this was eminently winnable, this test match.
Yeah, maybe. That Pat Cummins moment was horrible.
He missed that ball by 2 feet.
The captain of the test side, the walls are falling down around you, and first ball you try to belt it for 6.
Well, that was horrible.
Seriously.
But the other Pat Cummins moment that was horrible, and it lasted for more than a session. You talk about 7 for 120. What happened for the next 100 runs? And what did Cummins do about it? How do you go from a situation where you've got your foot on their throats, and then the 8th wicket puts on a century, and you don't change your tactics at all?
And then not to bowl.
That's what won him the game.
And then he didn't bowl at all in the final innings of the match, which was... I mean, I know it was turning, but it was a big call not to bowl yourself at all as the only paceman in the side. So
I think the reality here is, I don't think there's any version of our team with right tactics that can beat India in India. I think we're miles away from them. I just think they're significantly better than us. But the way we're losing, the manner how uncompetitive it is, the self-inflicted wounds with regard to selection, the decisions, as David said, tactically when in the field, the decisions mentally when batting and trying to deal with some difficult conditions. It's just not a team that has any sliver of resolve.
And confidence, I think, is totally shot at the moment. And throw into that as well, Will, we've got this series, which we're staring at a whitewash now, 2 to go, 2-0 down, lost the Border Gavaskar Trophy already because India had, already held it before, so they've retained it. The best we can hope for is a draw. But England are waiting, and England, under this new Bazball approach with Brendan McCullum, just smashed New Zealand by 267 runs. They've won 10 of their last 11 test matches, and we've got the Ashes straight after this, so it's not looking great at the moment for the Aussies.
I reckon they should make Trav captain.
I mean, I always sound like I'm biased, but I think he'd be a great captain.
Yeah. He bats aggressively, he's a handy bowler, and he doesn't lie awake at night worrying about whether people are putting the wrong sorts of things in the yellow recycling bin.
Now, boys, I had they just unfortunately were flat out losers, the Aussies, and it started with so much hope. Other losers from the weekend, Jack Ginnivan, not a great weekend for him.
Do we know what drug, or are we not allowed to say?
Well, I think it was a party drug.
Yeah, party drug.
Ketamine. They can give that to racehorses.
Yeah, it's not great, but he's...
you know what? Jack Ginnivan hasn't come out with there's no mitigating circumstance, is there? He wasn't battling
Yeah, he's
something.
owned it. Yeah.
I give him full credit for that.
Yeah, that
totally.
Yeah.
Good
I
on
give
him.
him full credit for coming out and saying, I stuffed up and I did something stupid. The AFL's made it very easy to do the other thing, which is to come out and say, oh, look, I was going through a tough spot.
Well, he showed more maturity as a very young man than old Wayne Carey did after the casino incident.
Yep. No, and full marks, you're right, Will, on that front. Josh Cavallo, just an unfortunate loser from yesterday. Looks like a pretty serious Achilles injury.
He's had a shocking run.
Horrific. So,
geez, the Adelaide United choked away 3 points yesterday.
Didn't they? And decimated by injury again. So 4-all draw, amazing result. And Tiger Woods, a winner in the sense that it was great to see him back and playing, and the crowd was loving it, but a politically incorrect loser because I'm not sure if you saw, fellas, I'm sure you did, he got outdriven by Justin Thomas
Yes.
on a hole, and then as a bit of a joke between those two, which was caught by the eyes of the world on camera, he handed him a box of Tampax, I think it was. So, yeah, pretty childish joke, which has...
Oh, I thought it was money. I thought they were handing over, like, it was a bet. I didn't realise that's what it was.
Yep. So what he's basically saying is, I've outdriven you.
You're a woman.
You're hitting it like a girl.
Oh, I thought it was like a financial
That's
bet.
pretty lame,
Oh,
isn't
that
it?
makes it really poor.
Yeah. So... you're on a public course. It's a
pretty
private,
dumb.
It's a private joke between friends, but there's going to be 3,000 cameras pointed at you everywhere you go.
Weird level of premeditation for a not very funny gag.
Yeah, completely.
Winners, Matilda's great win. And look, I was at the Crows game. I wasn't at the Port game, so I'd love to invite the techs in, but I was at the Crows internal. I thought Isaac Rankin was outstanding.
Didn't break a sweat and kick 5 3/4.
Looked really good. So that was good.
Good news for Port fans. Timmy G at 7:20 this morning. He was watching the Port game.
He can give you some of the winners from that.
Exactly
from that game.
right. Good on you, Rennie.
Beautiful. Thanks,
Cheers,
boys.
Tom. Gladderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series section doors are here. Gladderol.com.au.
Thanks to FIVEAA, you could win one of 10 Value What Matters $5,000 gift cards. To enter, just purchase an eligible new FIVEAA comprehensive car or home insurance policy. That's FIVEAA value. Call today on 13 50 50 or go online. FIVEAA is an authorised representative of AAI Limited, the product issuer. Read the PDS before buying insurance. TMD available. Call for a copy. Competition ends 31st of March 2023. Full T&Cs at apia.com.au/win. SA permit number T22/1718.
Celebrate Hurtigrutens' 130-year anniversary with Phil Hoffman Travel and save up to $3,600 per cabin. Journey Hurtigrutens' new iconic voyage, the Svalbard Express, sailing the Norwegian coastline deep into the Arctic Circle, or take the North Cape Express between Norway's most southern and northern points to experience the magical Northern Lights. 16-day cruises start from $3,150 per person twin share. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel. Visit pht.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Some of the biggest supporters of local are older South Australians.
And that's why the Support at Home Guide for SA is fantastic for connecting all kinds of local businesses with new patrons. Circulated to thousands of targeted people in Burnside, Holdfast Bay and Mitcham, this resource puts older people in touch with up-to-date information about support in their area.
More and more people seek care at home as they get older, so if you're a provider in Burnside, Holdfast Bay or Mitcham, this guide is a superb way of reaching the right people.
And the Support Your Local section of the guide is also the place to be if you're a local cafe, restaurant or retail store wanting to welcome some of the most loyal new customers around.
To find out more about the Support at Home Guide for SA, call 1300 186 688 during business hours today. That number again, 1300 186 688. And if you mention 5AA, how about this? You get 50% off your first purchase.
The mattress floor stock clearance is on now at Harvey Norman. All discontinued mattresses from the big brands must go. Now's the time to upgrade your mattress or ensemble. Our range includes the big name brands Sleepmaker, Sealy, Body Balance by AH Beard and Temper. This is your last chance to buy a quality-made mattress or ensemble at an amazing price. All discontinued mattresses must go. The mattress floor stock clearance ends soon at Harvey Norman.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
A fifth COVID jab is available for eligible South Australians from today. GPs and pharmacies are administering the doses and bookings can be made online. It comes as the SAMRI releases data on the vaccinated versus unvaccinated risks associated with COVID. They analysed more than 70,000 cases recorded in South Australia between August and October last year. The key finding, vaccination lowers the chance of hospitalisation and the probability of death, and each dose lowers the chance of each outcome even further. A man will front court today following a hit run at Kilburn. It happened on Churchill Road last Tuesday. A 44-year-old woman was knocked off her bike by a white van during morning peak hour. The vehicle was located yesterday and a 44-year-old arrested at Somerton Park. He's facing a string of charges including driving while disqualified and failing to stop after a collision. Two South Australians are missing after their plane crashed near a volcano in the Philippines. The engineers were among 4 on board the small aircraft when it disappeared shortly after departing for Manila on the weekend. Bad weather is hampering the ground search of the accident site. The US Secretary of State says new information has emerged suggesting China is considering giving Russia lethal weapons. So far, Chinese companies have provided non-lethal support to Moscow, and the president is yet to condemn the war. Antony Blinken has been worried this would happen since the invasion of Ukraine.
Just weeks before the aggression, you'll remember that President Putin had a meeting in which they just talked about a partnership with no limits, and we were concerned that among the lack of limits would be Chinese support for Russia in the war.
There are calls for stop signs to be placed on food packaging if the contents are high in sugar or fat. A new research paper has found prominent warning labels can greatly influence a person's decision when choosing what to eat. It's also found Australia's voluntary Health Star system does little to discourage people from choosing unhealthy items. The BAFTAs are being held in London this morning, with both showbiz royalty and real royalty walking the red carpet. Jessica Millward is there.
The awards ceremony is kicked off at its new location, London's Festival Hall. Australian Catherine Martin has won Best Costume Design for her work on the Elvis film, and fellow Australian Cate Blanchett is nominated for Best Actress for her portrayal of a conductor in Tar. The Prince and Princess of Wales are attending for the first time in 3 years and were there to witness a moving tribute by Helen Mirren to the late Queen Elizabeth II.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with cricket, and the Aussie men's test team is again searching for answers after a dramatic second innings collapse led to a 6-wicket loss in Delhi. Australia was rolled for just 113 in the second innings early on day 3, losing their final 8 wickets within an hour. Captain Pat Cummins says it was a disappointing way to lose.
Yeah, similar story to Nagpur second innings. Felt like we were in a really good position for most of it, and just probably a few runs short in the end.
It's expected the AFL's review of its illicit drugs policy will deliver minimum changes. The league is reviewing the code with the Players Association and medical experts. To soccer, and Adelaide United remains in 3rd spot on the A-League table after playing out a thrilling 4-all draw against the Western Sydney Wanderers. Meantime, in the English Premier League, Tottenham's back in the top 4 after a 2-0 win against West Ham. Sub Son Heung-min sealing the result in the 72nd minute.
Poking it through, Son! He's done it again! Struggling for goals when he's in the 11. Can't stop scoring them off the bench.
Audio there thanks to Optus. Meantime, Manchester United's great run of form has continued, smashing Leicester 3-0 to cement 3rd spot. And what about this? South Aussie Thanasi Kokonakis has continued his good form, winning a challenger event in Bahrain, winning the final in straight sets against Abdallah Shelbai. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
A sunny Monday, 35, mostly sunny tomorrow, 36, a bit warmer on Wednesday, mostly sunny, 38, and 40 on Thursday. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes to 7. Lots of great Dutton's texts already. If you'd want to send us a comment too, you can do it by the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream as well. Often on the program do we talk about what some of the great work that's going on inside the SAMRI building. Love it both as a building physically and indeed what it represents and what happens on the inside. So we always try to take the opportunity to reveal a bit of what's going on there, because it's always at the cutting edge. And the cutting edge are the kind of things that improve people's life and health outcomes here in South Australia. And today's story is no different. The SAMRI is going to be joining the Australian Epilepsy Project Network, which means that people that are from the stage of getting a referral from your specialist right through till treatment, you get access to the absolute cutting edge of treatments and diagnostic tools and a whole host of other things for people living with epilepsy. Karen Best is the director of the SAMRI Clinical Trials Platform and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Karen, good morning to you. So what kind of things can South Australians enjoy access to by virtue of SAMRI being a part of this network?
Oh, hi, good morning. We're really excited at SAMRI to be part of this project with the Florey Institute. So now people living in South Australia as well as Victoria can attend a local epilepsy hub here in South Australia, and they now have access to this advanced testing in the project, which is not usually available in standard clinical care. So, and the beauty of this is that a detailed report from all of this testing then gets sent to the participants' neurologist, and that can help inform their diagnosis and their testing and help with their treatment going forward.
Because there's different types of epilepsy, and and it has different effects on different people. So does this means that it's almost like a pinpointing exercise where people will get a much more accurate and hopefully to an earlier assessment as to exactly what having epilepsy means for them.
Yeah, that's right. So, epilepsy affects up to 250,000 people in Australia, and it can severely impact their quality of life and their health and safety and independence and even, employment and mental health. So the data that's going to be collected from this project, not only it helps with, diagnosis and treatment of the individual with epilepsy, but also, all that rich data will be taken and looked at together, so then can hopefully predict patterns in epilepsy and create individualised treatment plans and, really advance the treatment of epilepsy going forward.
So this is
really
essentially
exciting.
this is big data diagnosis. Essentially,
It is,
you compile everyone with epilepsy as opposed to, I presume, previously if you'd had a seizure or you had some other reason to get checked out, it was just on the best efforts of the specialist you were dealing with to say, I think it's probably this, based on their experience, whereas this is, well, almost potentially the experience of everyone who's suffering from epilepsy in Australia.
Well, from the people that can, enrol, that are eligible to enrol in the project, it's just such a rich data set that's just going to give us so much more information how to better treat epilepsy going forward. So, it's that artificial intelligence and looking for all that. It's a new way in health to try and help progress treatment of a number of diseases. So it's exciting it's groundbreaking work and really exciting for SAMRI Clinical Trials Platform to be involved.
I'll tell you what, Karen, the SAMRI must be a hell of a place to work. Like, during your lunch breaks and so on, rubbing shoulders in the cafeteria with your colleagues, you must just sort of feel like you're in this sort of ideas factory down there.
It is. It's really cool being in not just in the building, but you're right. There's so many diverse, really, people doing amazing work, and we get to work with a number of those once those projects get to the stage where they involve people and you need a clinical study to, make sure that all the you're seeing all the results that you need to see. So yeah, it's a lovely place to work.
Good stuff, and a great initiative. 250,000 Australians, a staggering number. Karen Best from SAMRI's Clinical Trials Platform, thanks for joining us this morning. It's a shocking thing, epilepsy. Like, it would, as Karen said, it would have a significant effect on your mental health because you'd lose confidence. A really good mate of mine in Sydney had it, and I was with him one day. It was such a full-on situation. It was in the middle of a press conference when Bob Carr was the Premier, and this guy who was working for the government, he had an epileptic fit, and it was at a press conference in Jindabyne. It was about the Murrumbidgee River, and it was about increasing the flow, which is one thing that Bob Carr was always really big on, given how much it had been used for the Snowy Mountain scheme. And this poor guy had an epileptic fit standing on the banks of the river, and at that point none of us knew that he had it, apart from Bob Carr knew. And in the middle of the press conference, he just flew backwards in all this marshy soil and was convulsing. I thought he was having a heart attack at first, and dropped down and was like trying to hold him. And Carr is sort of very matter of fact manner, he said, "It's okay, he has epilepsy." So we stopped the press conference, and we all helped him. And when he came to, he was just, it was so sad. We had a big chat about it afterwards, and he said, "Yeah, it only happens sort of about every sort of 6 months, but it's always."
Yeah. So what does it mean about operating a car?
Yeah.
Or going certain places?
Well, just going to a party or anything. But he said that he always knew when they were coming because he'd start seeing lights.
Yeah. Like an aura that people get when they get migraines.
Yeah,
Good news story out of the SAMRI, though.
Very much so.
It's really, really an exciting development. Big data gets a bad rap. Always talked about as corporations trying to make, tell supermarket giants where to hide the half-price toilet rope. But when in reality it can also be used for diagnosing people with problems.
Speaking of supermarkets, Will, I've come armed with a prop today.
Yes.
Later in the show, we're going to have a big chat about snow peas.
I thought you were going to cook something.
No, I'm not cooking anything.
Oh, that's disappointing.
This packet of snow peas that I'm holding up now on the Foodland live stream. It's not a packet of snow peas. It's a metaphor for what Australia is currently going through as we try to keep things keep the financial show on the road.
Has Pat Cummins gotten to you? Is this going to be a plastic packaging
story? No. All will be revealed.
Okay. All right. Let's check traffic, and when we come back, police and weather. And gee, don't the weather have a bit of work to do to explain the week ahead that we've got coming up in Adelaide?
Thanks, Will, and good morning. Roads are working well this morning, which is excellent. We have lights out of action at Woodville, however. That's Woodville Road, just outside the QEH. They're still working feverishly on the Southern Expressway at Bedford Park. Got 2 lanes out of action this morning with speeds reduced there too. And got a lane out Modbury, Smart Road near Haverley Avenue. Cameras this morning, Bridge Road, Salisbury East, and you'll find another May Terrace at Lockleys. Looking for a business loan? NAB lends more than money for your business. Search NAB Business Lending to find out more today. T's and C's and lending criteria apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The heat is on, and air conditioning is one of those necessities we just can't live without. So if your car's aircon isn't keeping you cool, you need an Automasters aircon service. And that funny smell probably isn't a dog, but an unhealthy bacteria build-up in the system. But don't worry, we'll sort that out for you too. Beat the heat. Keep cool with Fix Now, Pay Later options available. Book now. For great service guaranteed, call 1300 Automasters.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Renovating your bathroom? Race into Beaumont Tiles for 20% off every single complete bathroom package. That's tiles, vanities, taps, the lot. Choose Beaumont's and save.
Interest rates are on everyone's mind right now, so I bet a $2,000 per year saving sounds pretty good. Well, that's the pledge from Mortgage Saviour.
That's right. We caught up with the people from Mortgage Saviour the other day. Fantastic bunch. It's their mission to get you mortgage free as soon as possible. Mortgage Saviour is not affiliated with banks and other big corporations. Their advice is genuine and authentic. There's no hidden surprises, just the best lending options for your circumstances.
With more interest rate hikes on the horizon, it's important to talk to Vincent. He's a mortgage surgeon. He'll take a look at your situation and make the cuts needed to save you at least $2,000 per year guaranteed. And if he can't, he'll just hand you $500.
That's right. That's how it works. Find out what a Mortgage Saviour can do for you. Go to mortgagesaviour.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Will retirement living suit you? Get a sneak peek of the lifestyle you can enjoy at FIVEAA's free open home events across Adelaide from the 28th of February to the 2nd of March. Come along with family and friends to explore our communities and find out why many residents say they wish they made the move sooner. You can inspect our display homes, discover our social activities and chat with our friendly team. Take the first step and search FIVEAA Open Home today. RSVP is essential and COVID-safe practices apply.
The heat is on, and if your car's aircon isn't keeping you cool, you need an Automasters aircon service. Beat the heat. Keep cool with Fix Now, Pay Later options available. For great service guaranteed, call 1300 Automasters.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
13 to 7, 7 minutes away from the official sunrise time in Adelaide. With it's going to come some serious heat, just not just today, but for indeed the rest of the week. Jenny Horvat, senior forecaster at the Bureau, joins us. Is this officially a heat wave this week, Jenny?
Oh yeah, look, we'll be going close for that, and we do have a severe heat wave warning out for parts of the state, including an extreme heat wave out for the west coast, and that severe heat wave warning does include the metropolitan area. So yes, with those hot minimums and hot days, yes, we're officially looking at a heat wave this week, and we haven't seen a string of temperatures like this for a few summers now, so it's going to come as a little bit of a shock here for us in town, but it's a little bit of a slow warming as we head towards the week, so hopefully we can get climatised quickly. So we are looking at, we did see a minimum temperature of 15 degrees not that long ago, just a couple of minutes ago, and that probably was our coolest of the week there. It's just on the rise for now. So we are looking at a top temperature today in the city of around 35 degrees, quite sunny conditions. 37 for the northern suburbs, around 33, 34 for the coast, and Mount Barker looking at around 32 for today. So we'll be looking at maybe a little bit of a sea breeze coming through. So out on the waters today, we've got our east to southeasterly winds about 10 knots. We'll see them shifting a bit more south-southwesterly with that sea breeze, 10 to 15 knots in the middle of the day, but we will see those winds returning to the southeast during the later part of the afternoon and evening, and possibly picking up to around 15 to 20 knots north of Brighton, and then for the afternoon with the sea breeze, and then with the gully breezes south of Brighton picking up to around that 15 to 20 knots. So there could be a bit of a relief if you're up in the hills and the foothills tonight. We've got those southeasterlies, so it could get a little bit gusty with the gully breezes, so maybe open up the house there, but that minimum temperature for tomorrow is around 21, so getting a little bit warmer overnight, maximum temperature of around 36 degrees. For Wednesday, we are looking at a minimum of around 24 with a maximum of 38. For Thursday, that minimum's up to around 27, so getting quite hot overnight, looking at a maximum temperature of around 40. As we roll on into Friday, that minimum temperature of around 29 degrees with potentially a maximum of 40 degrees. We do have our change coming through on the Friday, so relief is in sight. We can sneak it in a little bit earlier. Hopefully we won't get that 40 there. But as we head into the weekend, those temperatures back down to around 25 degrees for Sunday. So if you're not liking the heat, there is a little bit of a reprieve coming through as we head into the weekend there, guys. But yeah, message this week is keep cool, stay hydrated. Very hot conditions coming up.
Yeah. Jenny was just having a look at the most recent publication of the Bureau's Climate Driver report, and it spoke a bit about La Niña easing by the end of this month. And I know primarily it's sort of an eastern states weather phenomenon, but do you expect that to change things much for South Australia?
Yeah, look, so we'll probably still be looking at a drier period coming up, so maybe more average-like rainfall, and with that temperature, looking at those outlooks as well, could be seeing slightly above average temperatures as we head into March there. So maybe the heat's not quite off. Hopefully we're not rolling in too many hot 40s in there, but yeah, it looks like it could probably be a little bit warmer and drier coming up for us.
Might be a sign of things to come. Thank you, Jenny.
No worries, thank you.
Jenny Horvat, Senior Forecaster at the Bureau. Let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable Kate Dawson's on the line. Kate, 3 females have been arrested after a couple of stolen cars were located.
Yeah, this occurred just after 4 a.m. this morning. Police were on patrol on Lurleen Avenue at Gillies Plains when they came across an abandoned Mitsubishi Outlander with minor crash damage and the engine still running. So police conducted checks on that vehicle before attending the registered owner's address. The registered owner confirmed that the Mitsubishi, along with a Toyota Camry, had been stolen sometime earlier that morning. So Eastern District Patrol searched the surrounding suburbs before locating the Camry parked obscurely on Alexander Avenue at Campbelltown with the lights left on. So we called in Peter Yarney to assist with the search, and he quickly tracked down 2 females hiding in the front yard of a home and another woman found nearby hiding under a rainwater tank. So they were 2 18-year-olds and a 14-year-old girl. They're all arrested and they're expected to be charged with serious criminal trespass and illegal use of both those motor vehicles. So both cars were towed from the scene and they'll be forensically examined later today. We're just asking anybody with any further information to contact Crime Stoppers on 1-800 333 000.
Kate, also a woman has been arrested in the northern suburbs following a routine traffic stop. What did you uncover there?
Yeah, this is just before 1 a.m. this morning. Police were travelling along Peachy Road at Davern Park when they saw a silver Nissan Patrol being driven without headlights. So thinking this was a bit suspicious, they stopped the car and spoke to the female driver when they noticed an ice pipe just sitting in her car. So this gave patrols cause to search the vehicle and the driver, and they allegedly located methamphetamine and a flick knife in the woman's handbag, along with other drug paraphernalia in the car, including a hatchet under the driver's seat. So that 39-year-old woman was arrested, and she's been charged with drug trafficking and carrying an offensive weapon, and she will be appearing in the Elizabeth Magistrates Court at a later date.
Totally busted. Well done. Good on you, Kate.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Senior Constable Kate Dawson from SAPOL. It's coming to 7 minutes to 7. Gee, there's not a lot of love for the Australian cricket team on the Duttons text line. People now predicting England will smash us 5-0, and even Rowy's copping drive-bys on the Duttons text line. Someone said Rowy picked Australia 2-0. Can you feel it? No, I can't. On your Rowy. I don't think it's... come on. I think we should contain our anger. It's not Rowy's.
Well, I don't know. I think if it helps people get it off their chest. I like this one too. I wonder if it's time for the Australian cricket team to select a strong coach. Maybe Justin Lake would be a good choice.
Yeah, how about that, eh? Maybe a bit of tough love is what they needed all along.
Yeah. Well, at least they're all feeling good about themselves.
Yeah, no, it's going beautifully.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you win or lose, how you play the game.
No, as long as you can get together with your mates at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And just, talk about the time you lost 5 consecutive weekends and tried to hit the first ball for 6. You thought, I'm the test captain, and you know what, life's pretty good. Let's head to the, not that we're bitter about it, let's head to the US. Tim Lester of 7 News joins us. Tim, good morning to you. The oldest living US president is not in a great way, it seems.
No, in fact, he's the oldest US president ever at 98. None of the other 45 have gone as far as Jimmy Carter. They've announced he's receiving hospice care. In the United States, a doctor essentially needs to sign off on the patient being within 6 months of dying in their estimate before hospice care begins. So that gives you a sense that the medical advice is that Jimmy Carter doesn't have long left with us. Tremendously respected, not so much for his presidency, which was mixed and short, only one term, 77 to 81, but for the years of work around the world he's done since a Nobel Peace Prize winner and an extraordinary contributor to peace and government around the world in the years since. So much loved and respected for that.
Yeah, the old hostage crisis overshadowed his presidency clearly, Tim, and I think your assessment is right. Like, he's often held up as a figure of a person whose presidency was very mediocre, but since then he's emerged as a sort of great humanitarian. He played that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Nobel Peace Prize was for the Camp David talks about the Middle East, I think.
Yes, and he's that was in a sense the highlight of his presidency, clinching Egypt-Israel, the basis for Egypt-Israel peace, but the hostage crisis and inflation, the economy, basically sent his presidency off the rails.
Yeah. He did that famous address to the nation where he told everybody that during the energy crisis, that power bills were going to be so high, and he told everyone, he said, just wear a sweater. And I just thought it was like very good, old-fashioned, homely advice, but everyone sort of threw it back in his face. But there's great footage of him I've seen people tweeting, like, because he's a hugely humble man, and he does all those charitable works for poor people where he builds houses, and he was still doing it in his 90s. In fact, he was still doing it after he had a terrible fall at home, and he had a huge black eye. And there's footage of him at this charity sitting there with his tools making all this furniture for poor people.
Yes, extraordinary. Apparently still in Plains, Georgia, where he lives with his 95-year-old wife, Rosalind. They're still apparently in the home that they built back in the early 1960s. So he has been remarkably modest as a president, didn't want to get on the speaking tour because he didn't want to profit from the presidency per se. And a lot of that now, I think, coming home to a tremendous fondness for Jimmy Carter and a great sense of sadness that he's not going to be around for long.
Yeah. Good stuff. Tim Lester there for 7 years in the US Bureau. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Just looking to see whether Australia's had a Prime Minister that lived to the age of 100. I cannot find one.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
I can't find one. There's a few that go.
What was Hawkeye? He was in his late 80s, I reckon.
So,
or was he 90?
No. Bob Hawke was.
Was he 90?
Bob Hawke was 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
29 to 2019.
So he's exactly 90.
So he was 90. A few.
I reckon John Howard's a chance. He's a bloke who's taken good care of himself.
He has taken good care.
Although
of
he
himself.
smoked for a long time.
Did he really?
Yeah.
So he would need to make it till 19.
The idea of John Howard smoking seems kind of... I think he smoked till he was about 40, 45.
Bob Hawke was 89 when he died. John Howard would need to make it to 2039.
Oh, yeah?
So that's another... What are we talking here? 16 years. So...
he seems very fit. I reckon he's a chance.
Gough Whitlam had a pretty good run. Frank Ford made it into his 90s, who, mind you, was only Prime Minister for about 7 days.
I was going to say, I never heard of Frank Ford.
Maybe it didn't take touch time. He was during towards the end of the Second World War when John Curtin died.
Oh,
before Chifley. He was the guy that was it for 7 days.
Because he's like a Black Jack McEwen type person.
I looked at him because I was trying to work on the hypothesis that maybe being the leader of a country takes years off your life. So I wanted to have a quick look, and maybe there's some legs to it. Debbie in Largs North, good morning.
Hi, I heard Australia Post has stopped sending out utility bills about a week ago. So I rang up AGL and Origin. I was on the phone for about half an hour with each one just pressing buttons, getting nowhere. So I looked at an old bill and I found an email address for Origin.
Mm.
And I sent a letter to them saying that I was paid by card at the post office, my utility bills. So I said, all we do is have to put what my bill is back, return an email to me, and I'll go to the post office and pay by card, which means it goes automatically into their account. I'm not paying by cash. Anyway, I haven't heard anything back from Origin. And 3 days ago I sent an email saying, hey, I just want to pay my bill, please.
Mm.
And because what I did with AGL and SA Water, I went to the post office and paid in advance about $20 above what the last bill was, hoping that I can cover it. But, it's going to be a bit poor. Is Australia Post going to cover all the pensioners that have their gas and hot water gas and electricity turned off because they haven't paid their bill? I know it has to go online soon, but it's not. It's not the security online for pensioners to do too much.
Yeah, well, it's not Australia Post's fault though, is it? It's the energy providers who are saying we don't want to do this.
I thought so.
Mm.
I wonder, Deb, if you've got someone who's been in the same boat as you that has what they found to be the easiest solution. Because it's all very good and well for us to talk about we might find the easy solution, but what other people listening found as the easy solution. If they share it with us, we'll share it with you. 8223 0000 is the number. News time. We'll take you through some of the stories of the morning next.
5AA's Business Lounge with Leith Forrest.
I'm here with Kathy Nagel, Chief Executive Officer of Western Hospital. Welcome, Kathy.
Thanks for having me, Leith.
So exercise and diet, the best ways to keep a healthy weight. What other options are there at Western?
Well, if healthy weight can't be achieved through diet and exercise, weight loss surgery might be able to help. It's more affordable than people think, and the hospital stay often isn't as long as they might expect.
Maintaining a healthy weight can potentially help too with other chronic conditions?
Always talk to your doctor first, but there are some chronic diseases where your weight can contribute. So reducing your weight through surgery may be able to help.
So if people think weight loss surgery is for them, where can they start?
Speak with your GP or our GP clinic about whether this is right for you. Western can support you from referral right through to the recovery process.
Thank you, Kathy. To find out more about weight loss surgery at Western Hospital, visit westernhospital.com.au or call 8159 1200. 8159 1200.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Melasha.
Physio Extra hands-on physio at 6 locations. Even more convenient now with online bookings at physioextra.com.
Drugs and weapons have been seized during a traffic stop at Davern Park. Patrols pulled over a Nissan Patrol on Peachy Road just before 1 this morning because it didn't have its headlights on. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says while talking to the driver, they spotted an ice pipe in the car.
So this gave patrols cause to search the vehicle and the driver, and they allegedly located methamphetamine and a flick knife in the woman's handbag, along with other drug paraphernalia in the car, including a hatchet under the driver's seat.
The 39-year-old from Alberton was arrested and charged with trafficking. She's been bailed to front court next month. When it comes to COVID, the unvaccinated face higher risks. That's according to new analysis by SAMRI. They looked at more than 70,000 local cases recorded during a 3-month period last year. The data showing your risk of hospitalisation is 8 times higher if not vaccinated, and death is 5 times higher compared to people with up-to-date vaccinations. Meantime, the 5th COVID vaccine shot is being rolled out from today. They're available from hundreds of GPs and pharmacies across the state and can be booked online. A debate on the future of superannuation will kick off today, with the federal government keen to stop early access to funds. Michael Packey has more.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers is working on legislation which would set out the purpose and goals of the $3 trillion superannuation industry. He says it must provide an equitable, sustainable and dignified retirement for workers. Dr Chalmers believes this central objective must be enshrined into law. The proposal would place even tighter rules before super can be accessed, sparking a fierce debate with the opposition, who believes people should be able to tap into their own super funds to put a deposit on their first home.
The US Secretary of State has warned China against providing material military support to Russia in its war with Ukraine. Jonathan Kersley has more.
After meeting his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the US has intelligence. Beijing is considering providing what he calls lethal support to Russia. In interviews with American news outlets, the Secretary of State did not expand on exactly what that intelligence is, but said what he did know gave the US concern. In the weeks before Vladimir Putin's troops invaded Ukraine almost a year ago, Russia and China declared a no-limits friendship. China insists it is pushing for peace between Russia and Ukraine, and in the days ahead, the US President Joe Biden will mark the anniversary of war with a visit to Poland.
And Rebel Wilson is getting married. The Aussie actress popping the question to her girlfriend at Disneyland, and she said yes. Now turning to 5AA's sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Australia's decision to premeditate sweep shots is being labelled irresponsible and has been openly mocked by India. The Aussies played 20 sweeps in their disastrous second innings where they lost 9 wickets in 90 minutes. The Indians played just 1. Spinner Ravindra Jadeja, who took 10 wickets in the match, including 7 in the second innings, telling the post-match ceremony he had a simple strategy.
My plan was, try and just keep bowling into the stump. If they make mistake, then I have a chance to get them out.
Do you think sweep shot is a good option against Ravindra Jadeja?
Not on this kind of wicket.
Audio thanks to Fox Cricket. Well, both footy clubs will train today ahead of their trips to Perth for a couple of practice matches. Meantime, the AFL is unlikely to change its illicit drugs policy despite the latest indiscretion from Collingwood's Jack Ginnivan. To soccer, and Adelaide United looks set to be without midfielder Josh Cavallo for around a year after he suffered an Achilles injury in yesterday's 4-4 draw. That was against the Western Sydney Wanderers. The result leaves the Reds in third place on the A-League table. Meantime, Manchester United is also sitting in third spot on the English Premier League table following a 3-0 thumping of Leicester, while Tottenham is up to fourth after taking care of West Ham 2-0. To golf, and Tiger Woods continues to impress in his first tournament in 7 months at the Genesis Invitational event in California. The 47-year-old just making a birdie late in his final round.
There's birdie putt at 16. And some professional pride. He's in red figures.
Yeah, audio thanks to Fox. He's now 1 under, putting him in a tie for 44th, but he's a whopping 16 shots behind leader, and that's Spaniard John Rahm. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Terrain Tamer Parabolic Leaf Springs for a comfortable ride in your four-wheel drive. terraintamer.com.
Got a smash to look out for this morning at West Beach. That's on Tapley's Hill Road near West Beach Road. Got a few delays there at the moment too. Woodville, traffic lights out of action. Woodville Road just outside the QEH. Works continuing at Bedford Park. That's on the Southern Expressway. You'll find 2 lanes closed with speeds reduced. And cameras at Valletta Road, Fulham Gardens and Moseley Street, Acklenelg South. Lots of small jobs to do. Bunnings Warehouse can help you get them done this Fix It Feb. Small jobs, big change. Visit your local store at bunnings.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
A top of 35 today and sunny, mostly sunny tomorrow 36, Wednesday mostly sunny 38 and Thursday 40. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy S23 series at Officeworks. Like a 128gig Galaxy S23 for $1,347. Or the 256gig S23 Ultra for $1,947.
Now, Stanford Mowers, these guys are great. I went out and saw Ben and Archie only a few months ago. They've been helping South Aussies take care of their patch for years. So if gardening is your passion, if you're a gardener by trade or just a weekender like me, Stanford Mowers, they know that you want the best range and the best brands of mowers, trimmers, blowers and more. Now, they're true specialists, and what that means is they haven't got a warehouse full of other stuff to sell. You walk into Stanford Mowers and you just turn around the circle and you go, every single thing in this shop is tip-top. They just sell mowers and the best garden power tools available, including the powerful Ego battery range. So do what I do. Go and see Ben and Archie and their experienced team at 590 Main North Road, Jeps Cross, or check out their great website, stanfordmowers.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes after 7. All this week we have tickets to give away to Velvet at Gluttony. We'll do it after 7:30 this morning. The winner will be someone who is clumsy. About time we did something for the clumsy listeners. That's after 7:30 today. I'm not going to tell you any more than that.
Can you still call people clumsy in light of the Roald Dahl rewriting? Is clumsy judgmental?
Oh, how insensitive.
It's like saying, you've got major coordination problems.
You can't call people unco anymore.
Well, I don't think you can.
What would you say? You'd say they were unfortunate.
Yeah, they're sort of coordinately challenged.
That sounds worse to me. Anyway, you might be right. Anyway, if you are coordinately challenged, you might win yourself a prize after 7:30. So we're trying to make good.
I'd say I'm okay. Well, I've got total dysgraphia. Can you read a single word on this notepad?
No, but you don't write in English, do you?
Well, that's a form of English.
Is it? You write in shorthand, don't you?
Half and half.
Oh my goodness! Now that's actually a skill. I don't think that's not a challenge. That's a skill. That is coming up. We're going to try something here for 7:05 with the morning wrap. We're going to we use the sandwich teaching technique, where we're going to put the finance superannuation story in the middle of 2 musical news stories. Do you like the sound of that?
I love it.
That's okay. Let's do that.
You're an innovator, Will.
Yeah. Okay. So the last ever song recorded by Olivia Newton-John has been released posthumously online. Her state funeral still hasn't happened yet. She always had the private service, but the state funeral is still to happen. But just before she died, she recorded this duet with Dolly Parton. Are in the era, aren't we, where all these sort of the B-sides of things and things that were recorded by people are not released, duets, demo tapes, it all gets released after you die now, don't we? So the music lives on in a really weird way these days.
It's happened quite a few times. There was that Little Less Conversation song that emerged after Elvis's death, a long time after Elvis's death. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't didn't some of the Travelling Wilbury songs come out after Roy Orbison died?
I believe they did.
Or was there a re-release of In Dreams after he died? The song made famous by Blue Velvet. Candy-coloured clown, they call the Sandman.
We'll snip that up. Excellent.
Thank you. I got to stop doing that. Creating a rod for my own back.
The Oz has a really fascinating story this morning for those that are on the cusp of retirement, or at least have, and as we all should, a massive interest in what happens with regard to your superannuation. The federal government under Anthony Albanese wants to legislate a phrasing that is essentially the purpose of super. Is it so you should be able to live independently? Is super designed so you live in conjunction with the age pension? How would a definition of how superannuation is used and accrued change the way in which the super companies can invest? $3.3 trillion, it's a massive industry. Here's John Keogh from the Australian Financial Review, the economics editor.
Interesting one from Jim Chalmers. He wants to define the purpose of superannuation, and we've had compulsory super in this country, Carl and Sarah, for 30 years. It's grown to $3.3 trillion, which is absolutely massive, but we've never really clearly defined what it's all about. Yeah, sure, it's about retirement savings, but we haven't answered questions. Is it designed to supplement or replace the government age pension? Can it be used for other purposes, like buying a home, like the Coalition want? And how much tax breaks should super attract too? So by giving a more clear definition, Jim Chalmers will start to answer some of these questions, I think, over coming weeks and months.
Really sensitive debate will surround this one because I think, and again, appropriately, people are very protective of what is their retirement nest egg.
Well, it's their money as well. And
exactly.
This is where I think some people are going to be, particularly in my age bracket, where you think, well, we're the generation that's basically been told, no, the retirement age is going to keep going up, and don't count on being able to get the pension, because the pension is almost these days becoming more of a safety net for people who haven't been able to save through, having lower paid jobs or an inconsistent sort of presence in the workforce. But so if you've saved up all of that money, like the thing that is going to be really interesting is whether the government tries to have some sort of tiered, almost punitive sort of approach for people who, in their view, have got too much super.
Well, they're already there are certain things that apply. There are thresholds that you meet.
Yeah, there are.
So
the other thing that's going to be interesting too is Chalmers has said, and obviously this changed a lot during COVID, but he wants to put a stop to early accessing of super. So you'll be totally hands off to whatever age, who knows.
Because we've toyed in recent years of using that money to buy houses.
Well, using it for holidays, using it for whatever you want during COVID.
That's right, yeah.
And the people really rated their own super.
Part of the stimulus that led to the crazy inflation we've got at the moment. Lastly, and I like this story, he's not an artist that we typically would play too much of on 5AA, and certainly on 5AA Breakfast, but Ed Sheeran is in Australia at the moment. He's coming to Adelaide, actually, so again, we celebrate all the artists as they're going to come to Adelaide. The Mathematics Tour will be here in March, but he starts the tour in Queensland. He visited the Queensland Children's Hospital and took some photos with and performed some songs with the kids there.
Can I call you Eddie?
Yeah, you can call me.
My nickname for you is Eddie. People fall in love in mysterious ways. And maybe just the touch of a hand.
Everything about Ed Sheeran's, my knowledge of his music, you could write on the back of a postcard, but everything I hear about him, he seems like that's the best bloke.
Yeah, he does. He seems totally down to earth.
Yep.
He's a busker, and after a fashion, he sort of still is a busker, isn't he?
His wife is a hockey player, and one of my really good friends went and lived over in London for a couple of years.
As is your wife.
As is my wife. So, and one of her friends is a hockey player and played in the same league against his wife. And one day they were at this game, and there's this bloke just sort of sitting there on the sideline, sitting by himself, and it looks like Ed Sheeran. And it was Ed Sheeran, just sitting there, at a game when there would have been 15 spectators there, because it's sort of an amateur hockey league. And he was sort of sitting there by himself, and he came over and got photos with all the teams afterwards and whatnot. But just like there's no entourage. There's no stretch limo. He's not flying in on a jet to go and do any minor sort of thing. He's just a very normal sort of a guy.
So how's this? Speaking about the economy, speaking about the cost of living as we have been for the last 6 months on our show, I was doing the kids' lunches yesterday, so I went down to my local Foodland to get all the usual stuff that they have, make sure we got carrots for the carrot sticks, blueberries, strawberries, some, even though they're apparently verboten now because schools like the plastic and wrapper-free lunchbox, but despite, in an act of defiance, I still slip the odd bag of tiny teddies or chicken crimpies into their
wrappers
lunchbox.
in lunchbox.
Not meant to.
Is that a thing?
You're not meant to. Yeah, plastic-free, completely plastic-free is what it's all about, which suggests that as parents we've got nothing better to do than to stay up till midnight sort of sorting through every single thing that goes into the lunchbox. But I am holding in my hand a packet of snow peas.
Foodland Supermarkets, Facebook and YouTube live stream.
Right. These snow peas, they're not imported from some exotic overseas location. They're made in Paraka. They're made by the great people. They're grown and packaged by the great people at Mercurio's. So I can't stress enough.
Good product.
None of what I'm about to say is a knock on the people at Mercurio's, who clearly right now, I presume, because they're not seasonal snow peas, you can grow them all year round. They're probably grown in greenhouses, which means that the people at Mercurio's would have significant power bills, water bills,
sure,
cost of fertiliser, the cost of transport, perhaps, even though Paraka's not that far. Guess how much these snow peas cost?
No, what's the weight? I've no idea.
It's 150 grams of snow peas. $9.50.
Yes.
$9.50 for a packet of snow peas. Now, I just looked at them and I just shook my head and went, how the hell have we got to a point where a packet of snow peas costs $9.50? Now, I'm going to count them. I reckon there's only about 17 or 20.
Don't ask me to do that math.
In this pack. I'll get them out. I just want to work out how much. What's the individual unit cost of a snow pea in 2023?
This is a good illustration of something I don't think necessary. I think everyone on some level tacitly understands what we don't talk about enough, and which is that. And I thought about this as Philip Lowe was getting bagged the other week, talking to the Senate Estimates Committee, and he was trying to explain this point. Interest rate rises hurt, and we can see precisely how much they hurt. Because you get the little letter from your bank that says your minimum repayment is now this and you're this much more out of pocket. Inflation is much more insidious because it's this. It's every time you go buy peas and it goes up slightly more and slightly more and slightly more. And his point is, unless in the absence of doing something that seems really cruel, something even crueler is happening to you.
So $9.50 a pack, there's 22 snow peas in there. So every single one of these snow peas costs 43 cents. Now,
that is ridiculous.
See, I looked up a recipe too on the Delicious website, pea, snow pea and feta salad. Now, if you want to, from a standing start today, 2023, if you want to make this pea, snow pea and feta salad, Delicious is a good website because if you're trying to count your pennies, the website tells you that this costs $2.67 per serving. Now, I've been through all of the ingredients. The snow peas now, $9.50. Frozen peas, $2.10. Feta cheese, $3.50. Flaked almonds, $3.50. And basil, $3. Now, we'll presume you've already got the oil and the red wine vinegar. The total cost of that salad, according to Delicious, it's $2.67 per serving. Not anymore, it's not. If you add that up, the total cost for all the ingredients is actually $21.10, which means it's $5.50 per serving. So, in the short time since Delicious created that website and put the recipe up a couple of years ago, it's actually gone from $2.67 per serving to more than $5.50 per serving.
More than
with
doubled.
These extravagant snow peas from Paraka that now cost 43 cents each. It's sort of the cost of living crisis in one small convenient packet, isn't it?
It's how inflation just nips away at everything. And makes life unsustainable. I think Philip Lowe needs you with your packet of snow peas to explain the crisis. I think you do a lot of it. And you did it without giggling too, which is good.
20 at the end.
20 minutes after 7. We're going to check traffic and come back with Timmy G in just a moment.
Got a smash to look out for at West Beach this morning. It's on Tapley's Hill Road near West Beach Road. Heavy delays as you're coming in from Glenelg. Got delays at Bedford Park. Those works continuing on the Southern Expressway. 2 lanes out of action with speeds reduced. And pretty sluggish right now at Wingfield, Salisbury Highway near the Wingfield ramp. Cameras, Kestis Road, Para Hills West and Maxwell Terrace at Glenelg East. At Guzmani Gomez, they're all about the food. From their clean menu to fresh Mexican flavours, There's nothing better than a burrito, bowl, taco and more from Chi Wai Chi. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
Leon Biner, the Biner Report. Now, we know ambulance ramping in Adelaide's such a big thing, and the government looking for a new headquarters for the ambulance operation to move to.
Weekday mornings from 9.
I don't imagine ramping either getting better or worse as to whether they're on the moon.
Absolutely correct. Doesn't matter where they are. It's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
Yep.
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
Our friends at Bob Burns Blinds are feeling moreish. You know, you can be peckish. Well, they're feeling moreish.
That's right, Will. For a limited time only, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you'll receive at Bob Burns Blinds, which means it's the more the merrier.
We've been out to Bob Burns Blinds, met the whole team. They're incredibly passionate about what they do.
That's right. Been part of South Australian life for generations. The team pride themselves on quick installation, high-quality materials, an extensive product range and first-rate service.
And for a limited time only, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you'll receive at Bob Burns Blinds.
So now's the time to create those stunning indoor and outdoor living spaces you've always wanted.
Buy more, save more. Book your free measuring quote today at bobburnsblinds.com.au. Conditions apply.
$2 usually sounds like, but with People's Choice Community Lottery, $2 could sound like. Get your $2 tickets for a chance to win a Toyota Kluger Hybrid at communitylottery.com.au. T's and C's apply. SA Lottery Licence number M14289.
Car, bus or truck window smashed, cracked, scratched or chipped? Call Complete Windscreens. For over 40 years, this family-owned SA company have given motorists a clear view of the road ahead with their 24-hour windscreen repair and replacement service. No one does it better than Hayden and Lindsay Dean at Complete Windscreens, which is the very reason you should tell your insurer you want Complete Windscreens on the job. You deserve the best, most reliable and cheapest. CompleteWindscreen.com.au.
Gliderol has manufactured and installed garage doors in SA since 1974, and their commitment to quality is as strong as ever. If it's time for a new look for your home or to upgrade, do it now. Order a new roller door, sectional door or customer designer door with operator by the 28th of February and receive an extended operator warranty plus 2 bonus handsets. Call for a free measure and quote and helpful advice. Visit gliderol.com.au today. Retail customers only. T's and C's apply.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
25 after 7. Dutton's text on a range of subjects. Andrew in Rosedale says, I think the Travelling Wilburys album came out after Roy Orbison died. The film clip for End of the Line just had a rocking chair for him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That does make sense.
That's right.
Thank you, Andrew. Someone else says people should be able to use a percentage of their super to buy a house. If the house is sold, that same percentage should be put back in the super fund. Jim Chalmers seeking to define the purpose of super and then therefore in the process legislate some uses for it. So that's a live conversation at the moment. And Jane says, on what I think we should now term the SPI, obviously the Reserve Bank looks at CPI as the basket of goods to determine the status of inflation. I think they should do the snow pea index too, the SPI. Jane says I wouldn't be buying those snow peas.
Well, I didn't, and then I got home and I thought, I'm actually going to go back to the supermarket and buy them so I can bring them into work today.
I'm glad you did.
Another one here. about Jimmy Carter, saying he's worked tirelessly volunteering to build homes for disadvantaged people around the world as the patron of Habitat for Humanity. That was the video I was referring to before.
If there's anything else you'd like to add to the Snow P Index, you can text us on 0480 1395. We'll throw it in there as our own version of CPI.
We should give these away as a prize.
We've given away worse.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk sport. Tim Jennifer from the 5AA Sports Show joins us. Morning to you, Timmy.
Morning, boys. I mean, if I aren't bloody angry enough about the Indian test, snow peas have gone through the roof.
No, exactly.
I know, mate. We need to find something to cheer ourselves up. But that was just an utter debacle, wasn't it? And the worst thing about it was we looked like we were a real chance of winning. And then in the blink of an eye, it was just utter catastrophe.
I actually thought our first innings in the end of 263 wasn't too bad, and you sort of thought, well, this is a score at least we can defend. And they did that well to be, just a run the difference. But then that collapse was just inexcusable, and I'm not sure where the tactics of this are. Now, you may be aware that England have a coach, a New Zealand coach, McCullum, and they call it Bazball. They play really aggressive cricket at certain times and put on a really good score. Now, they just defeated New Zealand by actually making 329, I think it was, and declaring. And everyone went, they're only 7 wickets down. But they do this on purpose. They know they've got good bowlers and they can back it up. And they go at a real rate, like 5-6 runs and over. Now, I don't know whether Australia think that they've got this tactic in their head or not. But it just seems to me, and I can't help but think, the T20 game has got into all of the players' subconscious, and there's no patience about playing test cricket here. And what I think it then brings about is, there's no genuine resilience or even plan for resilience. And that's a real worry. Now, in my head, you think about names that would tough it out. Blokes, let's go right back to Bill Laurie, Ian Chappell, Alan Border, Steve Waugh. Who in that team is one of those guys?
Well, we don't make them anymore. The problem is, you're right, Timmy, it feels like a team of downhill skiers who all look $1 million when playing against battling test nations back here in Australia. The moment you go overseas, it gets difficult and they fold like a cheap deck chair. That was sad watching that second innings. That's just, Australian cricket has fallen so far. You can lose, because I just don't think we're good enough. And really good Australian sides have lost against India and India. That's fine. But, geez, the way they did it, it was just pathetic.
And, I think it topped it off with the Paddy Cummins first ball slog. It's like, and everybody had been watching everybody else getting out with the sweep shot. And everybody kept doing it. It was just insanity watching it in front of us. So, look, it's really hard to swallow. It's another loss. And Australia were a chance of being in the Test Championship if they just drew one of these tests. That's all they have to do. If they don't, India go through and we miss out. So, and in a way, I think we probably deserve it with the way we're playing.
100%. Suggestion that the format's working. Good on you, Timmy.
See you tonight.
Speaking about report cards with distinctions, here's Jennifer.
Tim Jennifer on 5AA Breakfast.
Timmy G! His phone let him down a couple of times, Tim. It was like he was speaking to us from Nagpur.
Yeah.
Which added a different complexion to the whole thing.
Who designed that grandstand?
Oh, my God.
It looks like something I'm trying to do in the backyard. My father would come around and go, you did that, didn't you? That's the craziest building in the world.
I've never seen anything like it. 5AA News coming up. We'll be back with more in a moment, including your chance to win tickets to see the excellent Velvet at Gluttony.
There's no blueprints to your new custom-built Beechwood home. Well, not yet anyway. But together with Beechwood, it won't take long to turn your ideas into sketches, then drawings, and finally a home you can live a beautiful life in. That's the really exciting thing about building with Beechwood Homes. They'll build the home you want. So collect your thoughts, your ideas, your Pinterest boards, whatever, and let's talk. Because life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
I'm Kathy Nagel, Chief Executive of Western Hospital Henley Beach. Chronic diseases may cause heart and vascular conditions that, left untreated, can cost you your life. Western Hospital offers a wide range of cardiology and vascular interventions which may prevent disease and could help prolong your life. Interventions range from cardiovascular health checks to diagnostic interventions like angiogram and stenting. For more information, visit westernhospital.com.au or phone 8159 1200 to arrange a referral.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
A woman has been arrested following a traffic stop in the northern suburbs. Police seizing an ice pipe, meth, a flick knife and a hatchet under the driver's seat from the Nissan patrol at Davern Park overnight. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says she's facing a string of charges.
That 39-year-old woman was arrested and she's been charged with drug trafficking and carrying an offensive weapon, and she will be appearing in the Elizabeth Magistrates Court at a later date.
Charges have been laid following a hit run at Kilburn. A cyclist was injured last Tuesday morning on Churchill Road. The 44-year-old woman was knocked off her bike by a white van. The vehicle was located in Kilburn yesterday, which led police to Somerton Park. There, a 45-year-old man was arrested and charged with aggravated driving without due care, driving while disqualified, failed to exchange details and failing to stop after a collision. Hillfront Court today. The fifth COVID vaccine shot is being rolled out from today. They're available from hundreds of GPs and pharmacies across the state and can be booked online. It comes as new analysis by SAMRI shows the unvaccinated face higher risks from COVID. Their risk of hospitalisation is 8 times higher and death is 5 times higher compared to people with up-to-date vaccinations. There are fears 2 South Australians have been killed in a plane crash in the central Philippines. A Cessna with 4 people on board came down on the weekend, only several hundred metres from a volcano. Engineers Simon Chipperfield and Kati Sanatham, who once worked for Santos, were now employed by a Filipino company. They were returning from a visit to a local power plant when the plane crashed. The Australian Embassy is providing consular assistance to their families. Experts want foods in high sugar and fat to have obvious warnings displayed on the packages. Jessica Clancy reports.
Research shows big in-your-face labels signalling this is bad for you are effective in deterring people from buying unhealthy foods. The current ratings from 0.5 star to 5 have been proven to encourage people to buy healthier foods but don't deter them from choosing less nutritious options. A professor from the George Institute for Global Health has told The Telegraph coloured traffic lights printed on packaging as well as the ratings would be effective and should be mandatory. And the US Secretary of State is concerned China is considering giving Russia weapons and ammunition. Before the invasion of Ukraine, the presidents of both countries met to discuss a relationship with no limits. Antony Blinken is worried the time for that pact to come into force is growing near.
We have seen Chinese companies, and of course in China there's really no distinction between private companies and the state. We have seen them provide non-lethal support to Russia for use in Ukraine. The concern that we have now is based on information we have that they're considering providing lethal support.
And Kate Blanchett has won Best Actress at this morning's BAFTAs, the Aussie recognised for the movie Tar. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
Lots to say about the cricket, Tom Wren.
And a lot of it not that positive, unfortunately. Mel, Australian Test captain Pat Cummins, though, is confident his team will find its form with the bat in India after crumbling to a 6-wicket defeat in the second Test in Delhi. The Indian bowling attack tore through Australia's batting order early on day 3 before running down the 115-run target in Delhi. Cummins says they have enough experience in the 11 to turn things around.
Quite a few of the batters have scored runs in similar conditions before they've found a way, so absolutely it's still a series to draw. That'd be an amazing effort over here in India, so that's all to play for still.
India leads the 4-match series 2-0. Well, Formula 1 rules have been changed, making next month's Australian Grand Prix the fastest in its 26-year history. Eddie Summerfield reports.
Cars are expected to hit 340 kilometres an hour along the back straight of Albert Park. The Herald Sun revealing a 4th DRS zone is being added for the sweeping bend of the circuit. It'll not only see additional opportunities for overtaking, the 4th effective turbo zone down the longer straight of the track will also see lap times dramatically reduced.
Well, the Sydney Kings have defeated the Cairns Taipans in the NBL by 15 points to ensure they'll have the chance to defend their NBL championship in the Grand Final Series.
The Kings are going to return to the championship series to fight for their empire.
79-64, they beat Cairns in Game 3.
Audio there thanks to ESPN. The Kings will face the New Zealand Breakers, who beat Tasmania in their deciding third game. And in some golf, Tiger Woods has just completed his final round of his return PGA event in California. The 15-time major champion with a par on the last hole to finish at 1 under.
So I would think we'd see him more based on this.
I really hope so.
He looked good. Audio thanks to Fox. He's currently in a tie for 45th, while John Rahm and Max Homer share the lead at 16 under. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Terrain Tamer Parabolic Leaf Springs for a comfortable ride in your four-wheel drive. terraintamer.com.
At West Beach, got a smash this morning on Tapley's Hill Road near West Beach Road. Heavy delays as you're coming from Glenelg. Getting busy due to works at Bedford Park. 2 lanes closed on the Southern Expressway there. Speeds reduced. And we're sluggish at Wingfield, Salisbury Highway near the Wingfield ramp. Cameras, Salisbury Highway, Parafield Gardens and West Beach Road at West Beach. It's festival time in Rundle Mall. Shop longer and later till 7 p.m. on Saturday. All festival season with Myer, David Jones, Cotton On and more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
A sunny Monday, 35. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 36. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 38. And 40 on Thursday. Right now, it's 17 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
When you do business with Murray Lands Mazda, you're dealing with a local, a genuine family-owned company that is easy to do business with. And the best range of Mazdas at the best price in town. There's the Mazda 2, the CX range and BT50, all in stock and waiting for you to get behind the wheel. Book a test drive today, online at murraylandsmazda.com.au. Murray Lands Mazda, Adelaide Road, Murray Bridge. Murray Lands Mazda.
Easy to do business with.
When it comes to hearing aids, I think we'd all agree that you shouldn't have to pay sky-high prices for high-tech features.
The Specsavers Advanced range come with the latest technology and features you'd expect at a price you can afford.
Specsavers also offer everyday low prices and provide upfront pricing on hearing aids, which can be viewed online right now. That makes it easier to shop around to find the great value that you deserve.
So what's the next step? Well, here's what you do. Let a qualified Specsavers audiology professional work with you to find a hearing solution that suits your needs, lifestyle and budget.
That sounds good. To book an initial free 15-minute hearing check or to view our everyday low prices, just head to specsavers.com.au/hearing. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
22 to 8, we went to the Meals on Wheels at Henley and Grange a couple of years back.
That was great.
It was incredible insight. You did get a sense, though, of how many people it's required to keep the whole process moving. They require...
That was one heck of an operation that day, wasn't it?
Fantastic operation, so impressive. But they need people, and they're in the midst of a big recruitment drive, the biggest ever, requiring some 600 volunteers to keep the show on the road. Sharon Brewer is the CEO of Meals on Wheels South Australia. Sharon, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
We're good, thanks, Sharon. Now, there's obviously no such thing as pure altruism. If you're going to do something kind, human nature being what it is, people sort of think, well, you know, what's in it for me aside from the warm feeling? One thing that really struck me that day when Will and I went down was what a great little community it was, being there with the Meals on Wheels volunteers. A lot of them have been friends for more than a decade and, you know, really seem to relish the social side of volunteering.
That's right. There is a lot that people get out of volunteering, and that sense of being part of a community, part of a team, working alongside others who you might, you know, not have come across in your neighbourhood or your community before. Some lovely people that you get to know, and of course the volunteers who bring the meals into the homes of our clients also get to build that rapport and relationship with those people too. So yeah, lots of lifelong friendships formed with volunteers in our branches.
Sharon, so there's the 600 vacancies effectively concentrated in any one area, or do you need generalists? So do you need chefs? Do you need drivers? Is there anything specific?
So It's across the state, and it's in all sorts of roles. We'd love to hear from people who like helping out in the kitchen, or who like getting behind the wheel and being out and about in their neighbourhoods. But we've also got roles for people that are great organisers and handy on the computer, and we have some programs that are more around having coffee clubs and meal experiences with people out in the community. So lots of different chances to be involved with Meals on Wheels.
What do you think has driven the sort of shortfall in volunteers? I mean, COVID might have been a big disruption because it meant people were prevented from gathering. That must have been logistically really difficult for you guys.
Yeah, we had lots of challenges during COVID, and what we found was that a lot of our long-serving volunteers did take a break from volunteering at that time with all the uncertainty about their own health. And, and many of those people didn't return. So we've been, needing to replace our volunteers as they retire. We've got a lot of people working later in life now and looking after grandchildren more. And as you would have seen at our Henley and Grange branch, the active retiree population are really sort of the driving force of Meals on Wheels. So we're looking for people who can step into those gaps that we've had over the last couple of years. And of course, the demand for our services and our delicious meals is continuing and growing.
I've got to say, just thinking aloud while we're chatting, this sort of volunteering shouldn't be the preserve of older people. Like, I reckon there's an argument, and I don't know, there's probably school principals listening to the show now. What's to stop someone in their 20s, or even someone who's doing high school, from finding a few hours to help out?
Really nothing to stop them. We've had some great programs with secondary schools over the years, and COVID was a bit of an interrupter to that as well. We have a university ambassadors program, and we've got some terrific young people who are working with Meals on Wheels. And we also have people who are sort of, in their middle years perhaps, and might be working part-time or working shift work, and they're able to find a few hours a week or a fortnight or a month to lend a hand at Meals on Wheels.
Good stuff. Sharon Brewer, the CEO of Meals on Wheels South Australia, and just go to their website or give them a ring, folks, if you're interested in volunteering.
It's a great organisation, as you said. Wonderful community of people that are a part of it. Scott from Modbury is first texter on the Duttons text line to use the Snow Peas Index, the SPI, which we think now supersedes CPI. He's identified a chicken shop that he believes is using the Snow Pea Index. He says a quarter of a chicken and chips are listed as costing $9.50, and a can of Coke's listed as costing $3. Yet, if you choose Value Meal 1, a quarter of chicken and chips and a Coke is $13. So it's 50 cents more than the sum of its parts. It's not really value, is it? I'd argue.
That's weird.
No.
So if you ask for the value meal, it costs you 50 cents
Slightly more than just buying them separately.
It always puzzles me, like when you go to Macca's, and if you don't get something in a meal, like if you don't want chips or if you don't want a Coke, it often ends up costing exactly the same. Like, their whole business model is predicated on doing exactly the same thing all the time. And if anybody dares deviate from the script, you get a financial penalty for doing it.
Exactly right. Have you ever broken anything? Have you ever broken anything valuable? If you have, we'd like to hear from you on 8223 or text us on the Duttons text line. But I suspect it'll be a caller that wins the tickets to see Velvet at Gluttony. 8223 Velvet at Gluttony in Rymel Park. Home of the biggest shows this fringe. Tickets from gluttony.net.au. If you've ever broken anything valuable.
It's funny you mention that. The other day, I just had this flashback to the Great Yellow Pages ad of the boy playing basketball in the corridor, and it hits the pink lady, the lamp of the China lady, and then he's sitting down ringing all these different businesses. Oh, she's like a pink lady, and she's got robes, and she's holding a lamp. Yeah, no, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm looking for a pink lady. She's made out of China. And then Mum walks in, coming home from the shops. The kid's replaced her.
And knocks it over the bag.
Knocks it over the shop. It's the cleverest ad.
Brilliant ad.
I think it's probably the best ad ever created in Australian history. Well, it's so clever, that ad.
I hope that that there's the equivalent of the Yellow Pages in Miami, because over the weekend, in fact on Friday here in Australia, on Miami, there was an event for art collectors and aficionados, where someone accidentally knocked a $42,000 sculpture by Jeff Koons to the ground. Now, Jeff Koons does the balloon dogs.
Yeah,
to describe them,
he married La Cicciolina.
I'm not familiar
the Italian porn star who was a fascist and ran for parliament.
I'm not familiar with his marital status. But what I do know is that his collection of balloon dogs shrank from 799 to 798.
He's got a few then.
It was smashed to pieces. There was a really sombre sort of scene as people had to sweep it up with a dustpan. It was insured, so the fragments now are being preserved for the purpose of the insurance claim. According to eyewitnesses, one of the collectors there went and sort of tapped the side of it like you would to see if something's real, with her finger poked it a few times, knocked it off the stand, and it exploded on impact. $42,000 worth of sculpture. Intriguingly, in the spirit of the Banksy self-shredding picture, there's now a suspicion amongst art collectors and dealers that the scraps that remain will be incredibly valuable.
You're joking.
The story behind the balloon dog blowing up at an art show in Miami will actually mean someone will want to own it. So there's a suspicion it might have actually gained value. And this is...
What are you going to do with it? Just put it in a container on the mantelpiece?
There's lots I don't know about art, and I just feel with every passing story like this, I feel like I know even less. If
you don't know much about art, Will, but you know what you like.
Exactly right. I like my sculptures to be intact. If you've ever broken something, let us know, and you can win yourself right now on 8223 0000 or the Duttons text line tickets to see Velvet at Gluttony.
I tell you, you'd never have that problem. Our most famous sculptor in Adelaide, Bert Flugelman. Those balls are unbreakable.
You can't knock them over.
Can't do anything.
Many have tried.
No.
They're indestructible.
They are.
They'll be here long after we've all gone. Imagine aliens from another country. So what was the purpose of these things? What's the theory? What did they use them for? Pictures?
Meeting people.
Yeah, meeting people. We're going to check traffic and come back with some more of your entries in just a moment.
Thanks, Will. Got residual delays from earlier smash at West Beach. That's on Tapley's Hill Road near West Beach Road. Sluggish at the moment with a lane closed at Woodville Road near Kemp Street, and slow going at Bedford Park. That's for those works on the Southern Expressway with 2 lanes out of action. Cameras at Bridge Road, Salisbury East, and Midway Road at Elizabeth Park. Foxtel's winning deal is on sale now. Get drama, movie, sports and Netflix all in one place. Search Foxtel or call 131787. New customers only. Offer ends April 20. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Bob Burns Blinds is feeling more-ish. For a limited time only, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you receive at Bob Burns Blinds. The more, the merrier. With quick installation, high-quality materials, an extensive product range, and first-rate service, now's the time to create those stunning indoor and outdoor living spaces that you've always wanted. Buy more, save more. Book your free measure and quote today at bobburnsblinds.com.au. Conditions apply.
Shane Lynch was just 13 when his parents found dirty magazines under his bed. I mean, they were filthy, covered in concrete, dust and muck. Copies of Dreamy Driveways and Concrete Connoisseur. This fetish later gave birth to Adelaide Exposed Concrete, highly skilled professionals dedicated to pouring perfect concrete paths, sheds and exposed aggregate driveways. AdelaideExposedConcrete.com.au. Best on ground all year round.
A musical score is part of a movie's DNA, making you laugh, cry and feel in all the right moments. So join Brett Kavanagh and Debbie Fitzsimmons at the Capri in celebrating some of the greatest cinematic music of all time in Music from the Cinema.
This could be one for Luce now that she's becoming a bit of a cineast. Sunday, February 26 will feature their biggest lineup yet of music from the cinema from the 1930s until today. Now, this is 2 of Australia's top theatre pipe organ performers. You think pipe organ, you think the Capri. They're performing music from the classics like King Kong, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Pirates of the Caribbean, Cinema Paradiso, The Muppet Movie, just to name a few.
The organ creates an atmosphere like no other, and Brett and Debbie have wowed audiences everywhere with their musicianship and fun personalities.
So don't miss Brett Kavanagh and Debbie Fitzsimmons in Music from the Cinema at the Capri, Sunday, February 26. Book at capri.org.au or phone 8272 1177.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options, Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Nine to 8. Ever broken anything? I suspect no one's going to have broken anything that's as valuable as a prized piece of art. One of Jeff Koons' balloon dog sculptures, $42,000 worth, smashed at an event in Miami. But you never know. Julian Furl has called in. Morning to you, Julie. What have you broken?
I was a part of a dinner party overseas, and I was really enjoying myself, if you know what I mean. And I was, throwing my hands around, and I accidentally smashed a glass, as you do when you're out like that. And I found out the next day that it was a valuable set of 6 that a grandma had given this person, and now there's only 5.
Oh,
Julie.
no.
They sound irreplaceable.
Oh, that's hard. Sue, good morning. What did you break?
Oh, I was working many, many years ago cleaning for this unpleasant person, and for $3 an hour it also meant washing all the windows, doing the washing and the gardening, and doing the ironing. And I was ironing with this unfamiliar iron, and there was this kind of lingerie thing, and I hit it with the iron, and it shrank into this little plastic ball. And I kind of panicked because I thought, shivers, I don't like this person, I'm going to lose my job. So as I walked home, I kind of, in a panic, threw it in the bushes. And for the next 7 weeks I worked there, she kept saying, oh, have you seen that black camisole thing? And I just said, no. And as I kind of walked home, I kind of waved at the bushes. I said, hello, camisole thing. And I guess to this day, she doesn't know where it is, but I do.
Unless she listens.
$3 an hour, though.
Yeah. Well, you get what you pay for.
A valid industrial sabotage. Yeah, you do get what you pay for.
Vanessa, good morning.
Good morning.
What'd you break, Vanessa?
We had, it was actually my son. He was only 4 at the time, but we had bought a big screen TV, which my husband had proudly mounted on the wall, and he had been playing with a dustpan and broom, and he flung a broom at the TV and smashed it. And it was very valuable, but also exciting for the family. And my husband's face, it was just priceless. We didn't know what to do at the time. But then luckily we had got insurance, so we ended up getting it replaced, which was very exciting.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Thank you, Vanessa. We might take one more. Matt and Hawthorne, what did you break?
Hi, how you going, guys? I was about 10, and my parents went to the Victor Art Show and bought a painting, an oil painting of some gum trees, I think from Inman Valley Way. And they went out that night, and I was intrigued with this painting and the fact that the oil was in ridges, and I couldn't resist but to touch it, and I ran my fingers over it, and it was still damp, and my finger marks went through the painting. So, there was no hiding that. Much I tried, but anyway, fortunately my parents were able to contact the artist, and I think she mended it. And they've
Touched
got
it up.
Day, yeah, touched it up.
Oh, dear. Wow. Matt, thank you. Who are we sending off to see Velvet at Gluttony?
Just because she sounds like she'd be good company at a dinner party, how about we give it to Julie from Furl?
I think so. When you hear you've broken something that's irreplaceable and bright, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world.
You coming round Saturday? Yeah. Is Julie going to be there? Oh, yeah. I wouldn't miss that for the world.
Yeah, adjust the settings.
Watch out. Here comes Jules.
So to the organisers...
Julie coming in off the long run.
I'm not sure if if they have breakable glassware at Velvet at Gluttony, but I'd suggest just for this weekend.
Give her a plastic cup.
Just break out the plastic. Tickets from gluttony.net.au. It's 5 minutes to 8, and it's time for John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
At Home with David and Kate.
Living at home with a great big family, a journalist and politician. Home with David and Kate. Nice chorizo sausage with a cock of bean and crock monsieurs for breakfast at home with David and Kate.
Hey, Kate.
Yes, Dave.
Got some good reaction to my article about the Green family.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I don't know what that immigration minister's doing. Why not just let them stay?
Yeah.
I wrote in the article that instead of coming here legitimately and working his ass off for 10 years, he should have just married an ISIS terrorist, then they'd welcome him with open arms.
Good one, Dave.
Now they want to deport him.
Yeah, bloody politician.
Be good if people wrote to him. Andrew Giles is his name, just in support.
Yeah.
Does that do any good when people write to a federal minister, or does some assistant just throw it in the in tray and forget about it?
Well...
Or does the minister actually read it?
I'll get back to you.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Just write it down, Dave. I'll have my assistant look at it.
Oh, yeah, good on you.
It depends who the minister is.
Well, what's Andrew Giles like?
Uh-oh.
Here they come.
Hey, Daddy.
G'day, everybody.
Hello, Daddy.
Which one are you?
Do you want my name or my number?
Well, what do you reckon?
I'm number 3.
Hey, it might be easier if you all just count off like they do in the army.
What's that?
Well, you line up and the one at the end calls out their number, and then the next one calls out their number, and you keep going till you get to the end of the line. Then I'll know which one's which.
Oh.
Okay, let's try it. Ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Wait a minute, let's make it authentic. Go out and come back in and line up and just do it. Okay, here they come for the big count-off.
4, 2,
1.
3.
Far out. Now, you're supposed to do it in order.
Sorry, Daddy.
Go out and do it again, in order this time.
Yes, Daddy.
Far out. Righto, here they come. Righto, go.
4, 3, 2, 1.
No, you're supposed to count from lowest to highest.
Why?
Because people usually count up, not down.
Why?
I don't know, go and ask Mummy.
Mummy?
Or write to your local member. Don't hold your breath for an answer, though.
At home with David and Kate.
More from John Blake coming up after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. We're going to take a break. Breaking at 8 very, very shortly.
For over 38 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip. With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. Steinborner is your first choice for new Hyundai and Mitsubishi in the Barossa, and your first choice for Ford in Clare. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. Great local deals on great local cars from your locals. Steinborner Automotive. Still well worth the trip, or well worth the click.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is giving 10 lucky winners $100,000 each just for getting tickets early. Get your tickets by midnight Friday and you could win big in our 100k payday. Plus, your tickets stay in the draw for the $3.5 million grand prize. With over 50% of tickets already sold, get yours today. To see full lottery details and get your tickets, visit homelottery.com.au. Licence M14311.
Now, it's never too hard to imagine having the perfect bathroom at home, but what does it really cost?
That's one of the great things about Bioban bathrooms and kitchens. When they renovate a bathroom, they do it to suit your budget. So David Cox and his incredible team at Bioban, what they can do is show you how to do a lot more with less. Every detail will be planned out, and it means you'll know exactly how much it will cost and what the outcome will be.
These guys everything's above board. They're so reputable. It's terrific. Your bathroom is without doubt one of the most important rooms in your home. Plus, it's an investment. Get it right and it will add incredible value and appeal to your home. Get it wrong and you'll be stuck with a darn thing forever.
For bathrooms, visit bioban.com.au, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
G'day, it's Eddie May here from NRG Solar. People buy a solar system to save money and do the right thing by the environment. So why would you buy a battery? Well, people buy a battery because they want independence from the grid. They don't want to be inconvenienced in the event of a blackout, and of course, protect themselves from future power rises. Now, electricity is going up, so whatever your needs are regarding solar and battery storage, you can rely on NRG Solar for the right solution. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra hands-on physio at 6 locations. Even more convenient now with online bookings at physioextra.com.
Drugs and weapons have been seized during an early morning traffic stop at Davern Park. Police pulled over a Nissan Patrol on Peachy Road because it didn't have its headlights on. They spotted an ice pipe in the vehicle. They also seized meth, a flick knife and a hatchet. A 39-year-old woman from Alberton was arrested and charged with trafficking. She's been bailed to front court next month. 3 teenage girls have been arrested after 2 cars were stolen during a break-in this morning. Just after 4 a.m, police came across an abandoned Mitsubishi Outlander with minor crash damage and the engine running on Lurleen Avenue at Gillis Plains. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says it had been stolen during the night, along with a Toyota Camry.
The Eastern District Patrol searched the surrounding suburbs before locating the Camry parked obscurely on Alexander Avenue at Campbelltown with the lights left on. So we called in Pete Iani to assist with the search, and he quickly tracked down 2 females hiding in the front yard of a home and another woman found nearby hiding under a rainwater tank.
The 2 18-year-olds and a 14-year-old are expected to be charged with serious criminal trespass and illegal use of a motor vehicle. We're set to swelter through a heatwave this week. The temperature will gradually rise from the mid-30s to 40 on Thursday and Friday. The nights will also be warm with lows in the mid-20s. Jenny Horvat from the Bureau says it's the most significant heatwave since 2019.
We haven't seen a string of temperatures like this for a few summers now, so it's going to come as a little bit of a shock here for us in town, but it's a little bit of a slow warming as we head towards the week, so hopefully we can get acclimatised quickly.
The federal government could have a fight on its hands as it plans to tighten early access to superannuation. Labor argues the money should predominantly be used for retirement and not anything else. People can currently access super if they're facing serious financial hardship or need the money for a medical procedure. Independent Senator Jackie Lambie says she's unlikely to back further restrictions.
There are things that happen in our lives where that money may become in handy, whether it's part of that money or 20% of that money, just to keep us afloat, and especially in the next 2 years if we're going into recession.
The death toll from New Zealand's worst storm in decades has risen to 11. Almost 30,000 homes remain without power and some areas are without fresh water supplies as the clean-up continues from ex-cyclone Gabrielle. Prime Minister Chris Hipkins says officials are working to contact around 3,000 people impacted by the storm.
28,000 homes remain without power. Telecommunications have been severely disrupted. Fresh water is in short supply in some areas, and roads have been badly damaged. Lives have been turned upside down.
They're handing out the BAFTAs this morning, and Aussie Kate Blanchett has won Best Actress for the movie Tar.
It's been such an extraordinary year for women. All of my fellow nominees, the conversation with all of you off the screen and on the screen has been nothing short of remarkable, and we know that we're just the tip of the iceberg.
Best Actor going to Austin Butler for Elvis. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Former Australian cricket captain Alan Border is questioning why Pat Cummins didn't bowl in the second innings of the Aussies' embarrassing second test loss to India. It was a horror start to day 3 as the tourists lost 9 wickets in only 90 minutes to set the host just 115 runs to win. Border bemused by the captain not bowling himself.
Cummins didn't bowl a ball in the second innings, bowled very few overs in the first innings. He's #1 bowler in the world, fast bowler in the world. So there's just, hopefully they're learning. That's the big thing that you want to get out of it.
Audio thanks to Fox Cricket, India winning that match by 6 wickets. Meantime, England has sent another message to the Aussies ahead of the Ashes series with an impressive 267-run win in the opening test. That was against New Zealand at Mount Maunganui. And a big game in the Sheffield Shield starting today for South Australia when they take on Victoria in a match at St Kilda. Well, the Crows and Port Adelaide players will train this morning as they prepare for their trips to Perth for practice matches. Meantime, the NRL is considering following the AFL into mandating concussed players to automatically miss at least one match. Let's go to soccer. Adelaide United has played out a thrilling 4-4 draw against the Western Sydney Wanderers, but the result was overshadowed by a serious Achilles injury to midfielder Josh Cavallo. Meantime, 2 games in the English Premier League overnight, with Manchester United's hot run of form continuing with a 3-0 win at home against Leicester, while Tottenham has jumped into the top 4 after a 2-0 win against West Ham. To golf, Jason Day's impressive run of forms continued, locking in a 3rd straight top 10 finish at the Genesis Invitational in California. He fired a brilliant 6-under final round to finish at 9-under overall, putting him in a tie for 8th. John Rahm and Max Homa currently share the lead at 16-under. And in some tennis to finish, some great news for South Aussie Thanasi Kokkinakis, taking out a challenger event in Bahrain with a straight sets win in the final. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Terrain Tamer Parabolic Leaf Springs for a comfortable ride in your 4-wheel drive. terraintamer.com.
Pretty smooth sailing for the run-in today. The North-South Motorway working well. Lonsdale Road also looking good. Brighton Road flowing well from Seacliff through to Glenelg. A little bit sluggish at the moment at Modbury with a lane close. Smart Road near Hatherley Avenue. And those works are continuing at Bedford Park. 2 lanes out of action and speeds reduced. Cameras today, Blacktop Road, One Tree Hill and May Terrace at Lockleys. Fuse by King G has added new lightweight styles to the range, combining workwear performance and street-inspired design. Exclusive to Totally Workwear. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
A top of 35 today and sunny, mostly sunny tomorrow 36, Wednesday mostly sunny 38, Thursday 40. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Seven minutes after 8, breaking at 8, coming up in just a moment. Over the course of this hour, you'll hear from Kate Blanchett, who just won a BAFTA for her leading role in the movie Tar. Apparently she's sensational in it. The Australians did well. Austin Butler for Elvis as well, got the top gong. We're going to be talking a bit about movies in the next half hour. Lucy's going to join us.
Excellent.
We're going to draw something out of the movie bowl for this Monday morning. She'll report back on what she found. And then a little bit later this hour, Tim Ferguson, who's in town for the Fringe, will join us on 5AA Breakfast. Time for breaking at 8.
Well, the furor over the program at next month's Riders Week Festival is deepening. Over the last 72 hours, I've had a whole stack of phone calls from people interstate from the Jewish community and some from people within the Ukrainian communities across the country as well about the presence of the 2 authors, Susan Nabalawa and Muhammad Al-Kurd, who through many social media posts trivialising the Holocaust, making derisive comments about people who support the state of Israel, describing them as fascist pigs who have a lust for Palestinian blood and what have you. The view is that these comments stray way beyond what could be described as an acceptable level of discussion about the conduct of the Israeli state and are instead just full-blown hate speech. Now, as we sort of alluded to last week, it's my understanding that there are 2 major corporations who sponsor the Adelaide Festival who are now rethinking their financial support for the festival, and that there'll be statements forthcoming within the next couple of days along those lines. And I've also heard that there's 2 authors who are scheduled to be appearing at the Riders Week Festival who are now having second thoughts about their decision to attend. I spoke over the weekend to people who have appeared previously at Riders Week who aren't fans of Israel at all, but who are just totally scratching their heads at the fact that the director Louise Adler is digging in so much on this and trying to bill it as some sort of cancel culture exercise. Rather, their view, and these are smart people who are actually committed to the Palestinian cause, their view is that the extent of the language that is being used by these 2 actually damages the argument in favour of a better deal for the Palestinian people, and that the sort of atmospherics of standing by two people who actually, particularly in Mr. Al-Kurd's case, sound almost unhinged in their hatred of Israel, is actually risks embarrassing the festival and undermining its financial viability.
Can I ask you a question about this? Because you broke the story and you've been leading the investigation on it the entire time. Have you got a sense yet as to whether these people were invited out of a sense of desiring the festival to be edgy and get it some promotion by virtue of these big names that have out their opinions? Or do you think it was an accident when you get a whole group of people to talk about these sorts of hyper-political topics? You're invariably going to attract a few that they're going to be out there, and the festival wasn't aware just how out there some of their content.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance that it might have actually been an accident insofar as they were invited on the basis of their written works, ignorant of the other written works, i.e. their many tweets, florid and off-the-charts tweets about the people of Israel, and that now, having landed themselves in this quandary, they're using a sort of fatuous free speech argument to stand by people who have demonstrably abused that freedom by going down the path of what is full-blown hatefulness and incitement. Now, the number of plugged-in people who are involved in this now is extraordinary, and you know, quite a few of them have said to me, I'm not putting my hand up publicly, but behind the scenes I'm doing everything from ringing board members to ringing all the sponsors to just make sure that absolutely everybody who's involved in staging the festival knows how disgusted we are about this. The timing of it's difficult for the festival too, because, you know, the people who are up in arms about this, they've got a good sort of 3 to 4 week head start to get stuck right in. And it's seen as a almost like a test case for the extent to which, as we saw with the Sydney Festival, where for what I think on the face of it is purely innocent sponsorship at the Sydney Writers' Week Festival by the Israeli Embassy of a dance company, and under the whole sort of BDS boycott, divest, sanctions against Israel mentality, 20 artists pulled out.
Yeah.
Now, people I know are very reasonable and are pro-Palestinian sort of said to me, problem with the way a lot of this stuff's being done, it's so ham-fisted, it actually looks almost more like a form of formalised anti-Semitism now. If you can't
completely, as an embassy, sponsor
a choreographer,
that's an outrage. But these people saying these things is just part of the robust conversation around Israel.
Yeah. Blood-sucking pigs, sadistic fascists, you know, as bad as the Nazis. So, next 48 hours are going to be interesting because as far as the taxpayers' contribution to propping this little get-together up, it might have to increase given the extent to which the private sector is rethinking its commitment.
You wouldn't really want your company logo sort of hanging out the front door of, you know, this talk that's going to be followed up by these sorts of types, would you?
No.
I mean, it's a tough look. 14 after 8. The biggest story in Adelaide this week is going to be the weather. It is so significant that it's drawn historical comparisons from our very own stats man, Ben Jordan, who says the forecast average for this week, 37.8. It's certainly a hot one. The February record, though, comes to us from back in 1899. The 9th to the 13th of February 1899 was 41.5. We won't get to the average of 41.5. In fact, it's debatable whether we'll even get to 41.5, given that Thursday and Friday being 40 are the two hottest days. But all told, it is our first heat wave since the summer of 2019, which goes to show even Mother Nature stayed indoors for the period of the COVID lockdowns. The Bureau have a heat wave warning out this morning. There's a lot to unpack here. La Nina easing as well. The latest climate driver report is out. So we wanted to go in depth on the Adelaide weather with Rob Sharp, Sky News meteorologist, who joins us now. Rob, good morning to you.
Good morning.
What stands out to you in a sea of facts and figures about this heat wave?
I think for me, it's just that we've barely seen any proper heat by South Australian standards so far this summer. So finally it's arrived. but that's kind of what you expect with a La Nina summer, that you get to see fewer of these really hot spells, but they still do occur despite the extra rain that we've been seeing up north.
So the fact that we're having this week of intense and sustained heat, Rob, does that suggest that we're moving out of the La Nina phase now?
It's not a suggestion that we're doing that, no. You often still get heat waves even in La Nina events. I'm at least partially surprised that we haven't seen more significant heat or long-lasting moderate hot spells in the south. So you often get heat in southern Australia during La Ninas. It's eastern Australia where you particularly see reduced heat during La Nina events, and that's been very noticeable for Sydney this summer, for example.
So there's nothing then in the nature of weather right now that suggests because we're getting one this week, we're more likely to get more hot weather shortly thereafter?
That is sometimes the case. So that was our forecast last week for this coming week. So I've been flagging that it's going to be 2 hot spells in a row, and here's the second one now. But there's no third one on the way by the looks of things. So once this one comes through and the tropical change arrives on Friday, then it's looking like it's going to be done, which will be nice.
I did read a bit of the Climate Driver report that the Bureau released with regard to its predictions of La Nina weakening. It spoke about the fact that some of the ocean temperature stuff suggests it's weakening, but atmospherically it's going to linger around and be La Nina-like. We know this is a big factor for the eastern seaboard in Australia. What would you say to our South Australian listeners about what it means for this part of the country?
Well, essentially it just means that the tap is going to get turned off somewhat soon in terms of the extra moisture coming in from the east of the country. And so that means that I'd say it's not going to have any immediate impacts, but it's got a longer-term impact in that next summer will not be a La Nina summer, I'm going to call it now, but next summer is a decent chance to be an El Nino summer. And so in terms of rainfall patterns, that doesn't do much for South Australia one way or the other, but it does have a big impact in terms of this heat, in terms of the risk of bushfires and things like that. So it's much more likely that we're going to have a hotter summer next year than we've had this year.
Get mulching, folks. Rob Sharp, Sky News senior meteorologist. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
See this pie bloke in the Tizer today? Sean Pine. He's eaten 4,000 meat pies. Sorry, 400 meat pies. 400. That's achievable.
I would have thought.
I reckon I've eaten 400 meat pies in my lifetime.
Are they 400 distinct meat pies?
Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I reckon I've eaten 400 steak, cheese and bacon pies from the Aldinga Whole Grain Bakery. Be still. Now I've said it, I want one.
So his expertise is his breadth of knowledge. Your expertise is you're a specialist.
Yeah, I just keep eating the same pie over and over.
You know that pie really well. He knows lots of pies.
I got my exhaust pipe fixed a couple of years ago down at Aldinga, and the bloke who did it, I said, while you're doing it, do you want a pie? He goes, yeah. I said, all right. So I walked up from the industrial estate to the bakery, came back, and he just looked at me and he goes, steak, cheese and bacon. Like those in the know.
Yeah, that's good.
But so this guy, he's come to SA. We'll get him on the show at some point. It'd be a good yarn. Because he's got 30,000 social media followers. He just goes around Australia and rates pies. So let's see what he makes of South Australia. He's already given a big shout out to the St Peter's Bakehouse. They do a good pie. But Luce just whispered in my ear, he's going to be on the show on Thursday.
How exciting. Oh, looking
Sean
forward to that.
Pine, the pie guy.
Your ultimate pie guide.
What's your favourite?
I reckon our listeners could help us out.
You like the Villiers goulash?
I like the Villiers goulash. I like the Villiers curry pie, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one too.
Currently in Smoky Bay.
Working his way across the country eating pies.
Yeah.
Geez, there are worse jobs out there, aren't
I'll
there?
say.
Let's check traffic. When we come back, Lucy's job's going to be watch a film of your choosing. The movie bowl is not too far away.
Thanks, Will. She's pretty smooth sailing for the drive-in today. No great hassles, which is excellent. It's starting to get busy in a few spots, including Sir Donald Bradford Drive at Airport Road, also South Road at Mile End. We are still slow for works on the Southern Expressway at Bedford Park. 2 lanes closed and speeds reduced. And keep an eye out for cameras this morning, North-South Motorway, Dry Creek, and Midway Road at Elizabeth Downs. Moving home, don't do it alone. For every stage of life, Storage King has hassle-free storage solutions. Store before the end of Feb and get 1 month storage free. Search Storage King, conditions apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Everyday low prices, any time of year. Trust the mighty South Aussies. Great food lives here. Foodland, the mighty South Aussies, yeah. Foodland, the mighty South.
You're watching the 5AA live stream, thanks to Foodland.
Mighty South Aussies, yeah.
Foundation Home Lottery is giving 10 lucky winners $100,000 each just for getting tickets early. Get your tickets by midnight Friday and you could win big in our 100k payday. Plus, your tickets stay in the draw for the $3.5 million grand prize. With over 50% of tickets already sold, get yours today. To see full lottery details and get your tickets, visit homelottery.com.au. Licence M14311.
It's hard to believe, but Buy Urban bathrooms and kitchens may not be everyone's cup of tea. If you're not fussed by sticky drawers, if you're not driven mad by something that doesn't quite line up, if you don't appreciate millimetre-perfect craftsmanship and service of the highest standard, then maybe Buy Urban bathrooms and kitchens is not for you. But if those things are important, buyurban.com.au, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
If you love your home but you've never been in love with your kitchen, well, the answer is not far away.
No, it's just 15 minutes up the freeway, in fact, because that's where you'll find Balhanna Kitchens by Design. Balhanna Kitchens by Design boasts the largest kitchen design showroom in the Adelaide Hills. And what's more, and we love family businesses here, they are a family business with 35 years of experience, so they care about taking care of you.
And their expertise goes further than kitchens. They can create laundries, linen cupboards, robes and vanities, plus all cabinet installations are backed by a 10-year warranty.
Balhanna Kitchens by Design, it's not too far to go to make your dream kitchen a reality. See more at their website, balhannakitchens.com.au.
Bob Burns Blinds is feeling moreish. For a limited time only, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you receive at Bob Burns Blinds. The more, the merrier. With quick installation, high quality materials, an extensive product range and first-rate service, now's the time to create those stunning indoor and outdoor living spaces that you've always wanted. Buy more, save more. Book your free measure and quote today at bobburnsblinds.com.au. Conditions apply.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
23 after 8. Nice sort of Monday morning to be able to pause and talk movies.
Oh, yeah.
Nice to have a producer who's so incredibly well versed in everything in the world, but had a completely blank slate of movie experience with us to build this magnificent segment. Lucy, good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm pumped about this one, and I won't forget to watch it this time, unlike last week.
You got a review in of African Queen?
I did actually manage to watch it, but at 7 p.m. I went, oh, crikey, movie time. But I'm keen for today. It's hot day outside, so perfect indoor movie education day.
What about Lucy's been sitting here munching on my snow peas? I'm not made of money.
Sorry, yes, I've had 3, so I owe you $1.29.
Sam's had some too. How many have you had, Sam?
Sam's had 2. He owes you 86 cents.
Have you had any yet, Will?
You had $2 worth of snow. It's crazy, isn't it? It's $2 worth of snow
We only
peas.
had 5 snow peas, and we already owe David over $2.
It's just outrageous.
One of the listeners wrote in, though, saying that because I bought them for work, they are tax deductible.
That's right,
So
because
I
I've
get
eaten them
half
for
the
work.
price back.
Yeah, that's it.
We've started back in time with the movies for you to watch, but there is some movie news about this morning. The BAFTAs, the British Film and Movie Awards have been on. TV, should I say, awards have been on this morning, and Australians have picked up a couple of the major gongs. Austin Butler for Elvis, but Kate Blanchett also won Best Actress for the movie Tar.
This really does belong a part to my family. Thank you so much for letting me go, because this was really, it did take a lot, and it took me away from you an enormous lot. An enormous lot. I don't know whatever that means, but yes, that was the state I was in. So thank you, darling, and thank you to my mum, holding the fort and my 4 extraordinary children.
Lydia Tarr is the basis of the movie. For those that are unfamiliar with it, considered one of the greatest living composer-conductors, the very first female director of a major German orchestra. Sounds like she was superb in it. Let's find out what Lucy's going to be watching this morning. We have, if you're watching on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream, the Movie Bowl is in the studio with us.
Yes, and get calling because I need people to vote on these, please.
Yeah, come on.
8223 0000. Hear the options, then jump on.
I don't know the genre today.
Well, that's because it comes out of the Movie Bowl. You never know the genre.
No.
That's the point.
The bowl knows
what we do. Okay, now, today's category, this is a little bit more in-depth. Films from Lucy's birth year.
Ooh.
1994.
Oh, 1994, okay.
Hang on. You have to have seen these films, though.
I can think of a
So
few.
here are the two films.
If they're in the bowl, I haven't seen them.
These are the 2 highest grossing films from 1994.
Can I guess one?
Yeah.
Is one of them Philadelphia?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if Philadelphia was a box office hit. It was certainly a critically acclaimed film. Be interested to go back and look. The 2 highest grossing films of 1994 were Lion King. I can't believe Lion King was number 1. Well, I can, but I can't believe the figure. $763 million? That has to be the global box office take. They dream of that these days. Forrest Gump, $677 million. It's Lion King or Forrest Gump.
Surely you've seen Lion King, Liz.
I have not.
You haven't seen Lion King, really?
I have not. I know I'm a disappointment, but I have not seen it.
It's very moving.
Well,
it's
here we go.
One of the most horrible scenes in cinema in it with Scar. He's evil.
Okay, so get voting now. 8223 0000. Do you want Lucy to watch Lion King or Forrest Gump and give us a review? Talk a lot about the music of these 2 films too.
My mum always said life was like a box of chocolates.
The box of chocolates went up for auction just the other day.
Did it really?
Signed by Tom Hanks, filled with sand, apparently the actual original box. But,
See, I know all the references and all the songs from Lion King. We had House Glee and one house at school did Lion King. So I know it all, but I've just never seen them both in full.
Okay, let's find out. If you don't get to see the movie because of this, the Forrest Gump musical soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks ever. Paul in Evanston Park, good morning.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the reason. It's a great film, but the soundtrack, Luce, you'll be a different person by the end of the movie.
Excellent.
I bought that soundtrack. I loved it. Thank you, Paul. Let's go to Glenungus. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How we going?
Good, thanks, mate.
I'd have to go for Life is Like a Box of Chocolates because of the soundtrack. It's just awesome.
Gump. Thank you, Scott. Let's go to Jenny in Parkside. Good morning.
Well, the name says it all. It's got to be Gump.
Jenny! Yeah, that's right. Jenny, glad to hear you're doing well. Libby in Vale Park, good morning.
Has to be Forrest Gump. It just has to be. Lion King is an amazing movie, and Lucy, you should watch that too, but I vote for Forrest Gump.
Thank you, Libby.
Thanks,
Let's go
Libby.
to South Plimpton. Debbie, good morning.
Well, because the director of Lion King's wife is a direct descendant of Confucius, I say Lion King.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Can't argue with that reasoning. Thank you, Debbie. And Scott, good morning.
G'day, guys. Because it has to be, it's got to be Shawshank Redemption or Pulp Fiction. 1994, boys, come on.
Yeah. Now, Scott, when we were doing some research into this, we were shocked that those 2 films were
Oh, my God, Scott.
not the highest
What
2
two
grossing
great
films.
Oh, my God.
That'll be another category one day, Scott.
I love
Don't
both
you worry.
those movies.
Forrest Gump.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
94, what a great year for movies.
Every time Pulp Fiction is on TV, and it's on a lot, sorry, I've got to watch it. It's just, I watched it with my teenage son, and at the end of it, he said, God, Dad, he said, that is just mind-blowingly awesome, that film.
Glenn in Elizabeth North, I think, is our last vote. Morning, Glenn.
Morning, guys. Sorry, I'm just calling through with a car broken down South Road in the underpass. Walker Street, sorry. I'm the traffic guy. Yeah, she's down to 2 lanes. No one's there. He's on his own trying to fix it.
All right. Good to know, Glenn.
Thanks, Glenn.
Sorry.
We'll take calls about
doesn't matter.
anything, anytime.
Whatever you reckon.
5AA Breakfast Show.
Exactly right.
All right, overwhelming response for Forrest Gump, I believe.
My mum always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Looking forward to the review tomorrow morning on 5AA Breakfast. Enjoy that one, Luce.
Run, Lucy, run.
5AA News Time. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Frightening thought. But what if you lost the capacity to manage your financial affairs? If you're not at the helm, who makes medical or health decisions? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com. Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny 35 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. physioextra.com.
With COVID jab is available for eligible South Australians from today. GPs and pharmacies are administering the doses. Bookings can be made online. It comes as the SAMRI releases data on the vaccinated versus unvaccinated risks associated with COVID. They analysed more than 70,000 cases recorded in South Australia between August and October last year. The key finding, vaccination lowers the chance of hospitalisation and the probability of death, and each dose lowers the chance of each outcome even further. A woman has been arrested following a traffic stop in the northern suburbs. Police seizing an ice pipe, meth, a flick knife and a hatchet under the driver's seat from the Nissan Patrol at Davern Park overnight. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says she's facing a string of charges.
That 39-year-old woman was arrested and she's been charged with drug trafficking and carrying an offensive weapon, and she will be appearing in the Elizabeth Magistrates Court at a later date.
An Australian tourist has reportedly been killed by a shark in New Caledonia's capital. Local media is reporting the 59-year-old was swimming at a beach in Noumea when he was attacked. He was brought back to shore with leg injuries where he was given CPR but couldn't be saved. The Treasurer is about to deliver a speech where he'll announce a push to tighten superannuation rules even further. Michael Packey has more.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers believes the objectives of superannuation need to be clearly spelt out in legislation, arguing super is to provide for life after work. Currently, people are able to access their funds in an emergency or for certain medical procedures. Labor MP Tanya Plibersek has told Seven there is room to tighten the rules.
We want Australians to have that more comfortable retirement.
But Independent Senator Jackie Lambie says there needs to be room to move.
We have to be a bit more flexible than that, mate, when we're going through tough times.
The opposition argues people should be able to use their super for a deposit on their first home.
The US Secretary of State is concerned China is considering giving Russia weapons and ammunition. Before the invasion of Ukraine, the presidents of both countries met to discuss a relationship with no limits. Antony Blinken is worried the time for that pact to come into force is growing near.
We have seen Chinese companies, and of course in China there's really no distinction between private companies and the state. We have seen them provide non-lethal support to Russia for use in Ukraine. The concern that we have now is based on information we have that they're considering providing lethal support.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
With everything cricket, here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Yes, let's begin there. Australia's tactics with both bat and ball are being questioned after slumping to a 6-wicket loss in the second test in India. After finishing day 2 in control, the Aussies crumbled in their second innings to again be beaten inside 3 days. Captain Pat Cummins says they'll fight to salvage a draw from the series.
That'll be a big thing for the next 10 days is having a bit of a refresh, and then once we build up to the next one, it's again having belief. That's quite experienced, our change room.
Let's go to soccer. Adelaide United remains in 3rd spot on the A-League table following a thrilling 4-4 draw against the Western Sydney Wanderers. The Matildas, meantime, have one hand on the Cup of Nations trophy after defeating Spain 3-2. Australia led 3-0 at half-time before conceding 2 second-half goals while experimenting with the team's setup. Captain Sam Kerr says they were disappointed not to keep a clean sheet.
It's a good thing that we've copped 2 goals and given up a clean sheet, and we're disappointed against a top team. That's the pride and the standard we set for ourselves.
Meantime, Manchester United's kept its EPL title hopes alive with yet another win, thumping Leicester 3-0 at home.
And he's fed Sancho. Sancho can play it on to Bruno Fernandes. Brilliant goal.
Manchester United at their very finest. Leicester City torn apart.
Yeah, great commentary. Audio thanks to Optus. Meantime, Tottenham's up to 4th following a 2-0 win against West Ham. In some basketball, the Sydney Kings will take on the New Zealand Breakers in the NBL Grand Final. That's after both sides won their semi-final series in their deciding Game 3s respectively. And in some golf, David Micheluzzi has taken out the Players Series Sydney tournament by 4 shots after shooting a stunning 10 under par 61 in his final round. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Terrain Tamer Parabolic Leaf Springs for a comfortable ride in your four-wheel drive. terraintamer.com.
Pretty smooth sailing for the drive-in today, which is excellent. No great hassles, but we are getting busy in a few spots, including Diagonal Road at Oaklands Road, also Richmond Road at Anzac Highway. We are slow going for works as we speak at Bedford Park. That's for that activity on the Southern Expressway there. 2 lanes closed and speeds reduced. With cameras today, Midway Road, Elizabeth Downs and Moseley Street, Acklenelg South. Get a read on energy prices, personal finance, lunchbox tips and new ways to stay in shape. Get a read on Today with The Advertiser. Subscribe today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA weather.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Sunny today, 35. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, 36. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 38. And Thursday, 40. Right now, it's 22 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Car, bus or truck window smashed, cracked, scratched or chipped? Call Complete Windscreens. For over 40 years, this family-owned SA company have given motorists a clear view of the road ahead with their 24-hour windscreen repair and replacement service. No one does it better than Hayden and Lindsay Dean at Complete Windscreens, which is the very reason you should tell your insurer you want Complete Windscreens on the job. You deserve the best, most reliable and cheapest. CompleteWindscreen.com.au.
460's megastars are set to grace Adelaide stages once again.
Well, maybe they're a little younger and they might not have even been born in the 60s, but when you hear these 4 phenomenally talented vocalists harmonise, it is uncanny.
The 64 have made a mark on hearts across the state and even around the country. They've been dubbed Australia's best tribute act.
Some of our listeners who came to the Best of SA dinner will remember seeing them. They're fantastic. What began in an Adelaide classroom has cemented itself as a class act. The 64 channel the stars of the 60s and 70s like it was yesterday. Think the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Elvis, from their intricate harmonies right down to their charms.
The 64 kick off their South Australian tour on February 18, so it's already underway. It runs through to March 18 with plenty of Adelaide and regional shows lined up. Visit the604.com.au. That's the64.com.au to book or find the 64 in the Fringe Guide.
What if your next holiday was always parked just outside the front door? Dave Benson Caravans sell your next holiday. And unlike an expensive overseas holiday, your dollar remains as an asset, your caravan. With over 120 new or used caravans and campers on display under one roof, the DBC Caravan professionals can tailor your next family holiday to your lifestyle and needs. Your Australian journey awaits and begins at Dave Benson Caravans, 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
22 to 9, talking movies with Lucy before the break. 1994, the year of her birth, was the theme from the movie bowl. Forrest Gump, the second highest grossing film of that year, is the movie she'll be watching as voted by you, our excellent listeners. Lion King was first. You asked about Philadelphia. It came in at 14th place for 94 in the domestic US box office. It gets confusing because remember back in the 90s when we had to wait a year for things to get here?
Yeah, that's right.
So the worldwide gets a little bit tricky. So just to keep it all on the level, interesting to look at the US box office. So Philadelphia came in 14th. Pulp Fiction was 19th. Shawshank Redemption got mentioned. What do you think Shawshank Redemption came in that 1994?
Be in the top 20.
95th.
You're kidding.
95th.
Was Reality Bites in 94? I think it was.
Yes, it came in at 63rd.
Okay.
95th was Shawshank Redemption because it had this remarkable story where it was limited release. They couldn't get anyone to show it. It was only shown in 972 screens. There was the big films had nearly 3 times that number, all of them, partly because of the title. No one knew what it was about. And it was a hard sell. It had been plagued by issues in the filming. Frank Darabont, who was the writer of it, demanded to be the director of it as well, and that was tough for them to sell. Morgan Freeman had suggested he thought the whole thing was going to be a disaster.
Tim Robbins is in it, isn't he?
Tim Robbins is in it.
He's the lead.
It ended up getting a huge second life because of word of mouth. It was sort of the traditional word of mouth sale, and they made a lot of money on the sales of the videos and VHSs and whatnot, and it got a huge second run on television screens. But as an in-cinema experience, not a lot of people went to see it. Just became very famous after that fact.
Pretty harrowing, though, isn't it?
It's a fantastic movie.
Tom Wren's favourite film.
It's a great movie. I love it. Text coming in on the Duttons text line.
We're getting a few pie-related texts ahead of our Thursday interview with the Pie Man, who's currently in Smoky Bay. Nice work if you can get it. Travelling the country, Sean Pine is, tasting pies from different bakeries. John, this takes me back to a family holiday in 1982. He says, a scallop pie from Tasmania does it for me. You don't like scallops, do you, Will?
No.
You're not a crustacean muncher?
Not at all. I'm a raw fish man, you know that. I had almost an entire tuna just raw last night. I'm not even joking you.
You can't really make a sashimi pie, can you? Doesn't really work.
Well, the pastry's sort of a critical component of
Yeah,
it.
no,
Deconstructed pie would be...
Ben
You'd
says
ask your money back.
That's right. Ben says you can't go past a pepper steak pie. Great ones from St Peter's Bakehouse and the newly managed Goodwood Bakehouse. Goodwood Bakehouse is excellent. Villies also do a great green peppercorn steak pie. Oh, what about this one? The cheeseburger pie from Little Mo's Bakery in Kapunda, which has got a rissole or a patty in the middle.
Wow.
Of it.
Well, I think the pie guy needs to try that out.
I had a lasagna pie in Lochiel once at a bakery.
It's just lasagna with really thick outsides, I guess, isn't it?
Pretty much.
So I'd give it a go.
It was filling.
I'd give it a go.
Just at the little bakery in front of the Loch Ness Monster there.
All right, let's have a look at the fuel situation. Fuel Watch, thanks to the excellent and free, should reiterate that, free My RAA app that you can download from the App Store today. The fuel information suggests that there's a cheap spot, the Liberty Hampstead Road, Clearview. That's at $1.66.5 this morning. The BP on the run, Marion Road, Marion, is $1.69.5. The Liberty St Vincent at Port Adelaide is $1.69.5. And the cheapest diesel is the BP on the run, Hackney Road, Hackney, at $1.86.5. Looking forward to, well, the Fringe is already sort of underway and started, but looking forward to our opportunity to get to chat with some of the big and fantastic acts that are coming to town, including our next guest, Tim Ferguson, who's bringing his show Disability Rules to Adelaide. Tim, good morning to you and welcome to 5AA Breakfast.
Oh, 5AA, good morning and good morning, gentlemen. Hope you're all rocking and rolling at the same time. It's quite an interesting dance move.
No, we certainly are, Tim. Hey, Tim, I can remember interviewing you at the Al Fresco Cafe in Hindley Street with Paul McDermott and Richard Feidler for the Adelaide Uni student newspaper in 1990, and we put the Doug Anthony All-Stars on the cover. You had a very long association with this town, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, we've been coming since, I think it was 1985 was the first time the Doug Anthony All-Stars invaded Port Adelaide. Adelaide didn't know what was coming, and we didn't either. There was no plan, but, man, it was a lot of fun. They were great festivals, and the Fringe has just gotten bigger.
Oh, it's massive now. It's the biggest festival in the Southern Hemisphere. So tell us about Disability Rules, and also like the extent to which you've sort of channeled the fact that you're living with a disability into part of your repertoire, and what value that brings to other people who are in the same situation as you.
Well, Disability Rules is a brand new show. This will be the world premiere of it. And, if it works in Adelaide, we'll take it to the world. It's basically about, the rules that the world should be obeying. Like, get out of our parking spots. If you park in a disabled parking spot and you don't even pretend you have a limp, then your BMW will get keys.
So work on your techniques, what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, and don't pay more attention to the guide dog than to the blind person. Because the blind person's the interesting one. The guide dog's just doing a job. So I've got all these rules that society has to obey, and but
I did get a chuckle, Tim, out of your some of the promotional material kicking around Adelaide, where you make the point in it that since you're already paying for the NDIS, you might as well enjoy it.
I mean, you might as well sit back, have a beer and have a laugh, because it's costing every Australian an absolute fortune. I mean, the NDIS nearly costs as much as a nuclear submarine. It's going out of control.
Did you ever consider not performing? Did it ever enter your head, Tim, that maybe you wouldn't be able to continue on and do a show like this here in Adelaide?
Well, MS is not easy. Disabilities of all kinds, they do their best mainly just to get in your way. They just want to get in your way. They're like, like a mum who keeps calling when you're out on a date. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, honey, just a second. Hello. Oh, yeah, hi. Yeah, darling, I think you've forgotten your sock. And so it's kind of this resistance to what you want to do. And all I've done really is just try to work out new ways to get around it. So to get me on stage takes a whole team. It's like a bunch of a SWAT team arrives, hut, just to get me on stage and talking. So it's, anything's possible if you have a bit of help. But sometimes, you've got to do a bit less touring, a bit more writing, a bit more teaching, or we're making another movie, finding other ways to be funny apart from just the grind of going on the road.
Tim, how do you find people who don't have disabilities? How do you think people who are not people with disabilities relate to people who do have disabilities?
Well, they are very irritating. That's the point of your question. I think they are annoying. The thing is that, if people think they haven't got a disability, they just have to sit still, don't worry. God will be arranging one for you eventually. And if you live long enough, eventually you'll have a disability of some kind. Never met a person who's 112 who wasn't complaining about something getting in their way. People without a disability are starting to wake up to just how many people there are who have one. Mental, physical, psychosocial, congenital. It's a long list. There are 4.4 million Australians living with some kind of disability. And this means that, employing these people is really important. And not only that, but that's a very large customer base for businesses who are saying, we should be expanding. It doesn't have to be just to able-bodied people. The disability business is huge, and there are never any sales. Whenever I turn up and say, oh, yeah, let's take a look at your wheelchairs, there's never a sales sticker on them because they know, you're a customer whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Tim, the sum of everything you say about the number of people affected, the scale of the of people that are experiencing something similar to you in Australia, and it being inevitable that it will be everyone at some point in time, goes to how sensitive a subject matter this is. And we're in an era where writing comedy about sensitive material is increasingly problematic. You haven't toured this show yet. Is it scary being a comedian at the moment when you try to write edgy sort of stuff?
Well, you kind of have to make a decision. Are you going to worry about treading on toes, crossing boundaries, getting too close to the bone, which is a comedian's job, whether they like it or not, or are you not going to worry about it? You just have to make sure what you're saying makes sense and is valid, at least to you. And then if somebody doesn't like it, well, that's okay. They've already bought a ticket. There's not much they can do.
That's right. You got your money.
Yeah, people have to recognise there's a big difference between the impact that, say, a joke or a funny song might have and the intent. It's important to know what your intent is. So if anybody ever, does jack up, you can say, look, the intention of the joke was this, and how you heard it is, that's not my problem. I was speaking the truth as I see it, and maybe we disagree on that truth, but let's not get personal.
Excellent advice. The show's Disability Rules. The star is Tim Ferguson, back in Adelaide for the fourth decade of coming to our fair town. Tim, great to chat to you, mate. All the best for the show, which is on from March 10 to 12, and we look forward to seeing you here in Adelaide.
Oh, thanks heaps, fellas. And yeah, here we go. Adelaide Alive. I'll see you there.
Adelaide Alive, that's the old...
that one for a while.
The old Grand Prix marketing line.
Was.
Adelaide Alive.
I think I'd stickers like that on my toy boxes. 10 to 9, we're going to check traffic and come back with Behind Closed Doors next.
She's looking pretty good for the drive-in today. A bit of congestion we're seeing already, though. Sir Donald Bradman Drive at Airport Road. Also Diagonal Road at Cliff Street. Works to keep in mind, Brooklyn Park, Henley Beach Road near Rolls Road. Got one lane out of action at Modbury. Smart Road near Haverley Avenue. Cameras, May Terrace, Lockleys and Mencken Street at Henley Beach. Victoria Instant Coffee 100 grams, now half price at $6.25. 100% Arabica freeze-dried coffee. Only at Coles and only until tomorrow. An instant classic. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA mornings, the fifth COVID booster available from today, and with it some alarming research from SAMRI based on SA COVID cases, the risk of hospitalisation and death up in unvaccinated people. I'm Matthew Pantelis. We'll talk about that on 5AA mornings from 9 o'clock.
Hi, Mum. Or should I say Grandma? Yes, a boy, like you predicted. You can see him soon, but in the rush, I didn't pick up Sarah's glasses, so she hasn't seen him either.
Give yourself the gift of great vision at Laser Vision SA. Smile Pro is the latest technology available at Laser Vision SA. Faster, silent and even more comfortable. Only at Laser Vision SA. Start seeing your world clearly without glasses or contacts. Visit laservisionsa.com.au.
Kia EV6 GT. A sleek, pure electric supercar. Enjoy your flight. The Kia EV6 GT.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
As we all know, SA is going through a housing crisis right now, but McGain Real Estate are trying to help as best they can.
That's what they do at McGain. If you're a landlord looking to sell your property but feeling guilty about disrupting an awesome tenant, well, McGain want to help. They've got landlords ready to buy your property and keep that tenant in place.
McGain have hundreds of landlords ready to buy investment property, so there's no need to stress about asking the tenant to move out or waiting for the lease to end. These astute buyers know the value of a good tenant and want to keep them in place and happy.
And with these investment buyers ready to go, you could save thousands on marketing, meaning it's a win-win.
There's a reason you see signs popping up everywhere saying, sold by McGain again. Visit mcgain.com.au.
Gliderol has manufactured and installed garage doors in SA since 1974, and their commitment to quality is as strong as ever. If it's time for a new look for your home or to upgrade, do it now. Order a new roller door, sectional door or customer designer door with operator by the 28th of February and receive an extended operator warranty plus 2 bonus handsets. Call for a free measure and quote and helpful advice. Visit gliderol.com.au today. Retail customers only, T's and C's apply.
What's got Mike singing? Mike just got an energy-efficient heat pump installed by EcoVantage. Not only is it using nearly 80% less energy than his old hot water system and saving hundreds off his power bills, he got it for free. Thanks to federal and SA government incentives, you can get your own energy-efficient heat pump from just $0. Pump your energy bills down with EcoVantage. Visit ecovantage.com.au.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
6 to 9, we're going to double pass to give away to see Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at the Adelaide Festival of Arts. This is going to be fantastic, this show. If you saw the picture of Dorian Gray, it's the same group of people that have put it together. Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, only at the 2023 Adelaide Festival. Get calling now, 8223 0055, and we'll send you off with a double pass. It's time to go behind closed doors, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed
5AA Weekend Breakfast with Mike Keelan and Angie McBride.
Yes, here we are, another beautiful day, Michael.
Right, it is a beautiful day, Angie, isn't it?
And Chris has given us a call, Michael.
Right, hello, Chris.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Chris.
Any of you people get up early on Monday morning?
Why, what did we miss?
I got out the front, you look up in the sky, looking over towards Salisbury Way.
Right.
It's a series of white lights in one straight line heading over towards Mount Lofty Way.
Wow.
There was something like 20 of them, and there was greater distance than that. You know what it was?
No.
The satellites from Musk.
No, the International Space Station went over Monday night, I think.
Your guys up, 5AA in the morning, and they said 2 other people have seen it, and he said, yeah, we're 100% sure it's satellites from Musk.
From where?
Mars, I think he said, Michael.
Satellites from Mars, really?
What's his name? The guy that puts all the satellites up into space.
Oh, Musk, not Mars.
Oh, Musk, not Mars.
But the funny thing is, Michael, it seemed like we were okay with them being from Mars.
It did, didn't it? We hardly batted an eyelid.
Well, they were equal distance apart. They were in one straight line, and when they got over towards Mount Lofty Way, it just disappeared.
Right. I mean, what would Elon Musk have satellites up for? And in asking that, I do realise that this is proving to be a very frustrating segment for a lot of people who know exactly what they are. And in fact, someone has told us already that they are Skylink satellites which provide internet services, and they always go over in a string of quite a few
Yes,
of them.
we should have known
Other
that.
people have seen it, the same as what I did. Want to ring up and just confirm it.
Yeah, look, one thing you have to realise, Chris, with questions about things like that, you'd be a lot better off asking Angie's cat than asking us.
Like I said, I rang 5AA up.
Right, well, yeah, again, you'd be better off ringing Angie's cat. There are single-celled organisms living on the moons of Neptune that know more about this stuff than most of us here. So
Them, no, I thought, I'm going kooky again, but...
I wonder if those satellites are coming back again, if we'll see them again, which... when you think about it, is an incredibly stupid thing to ask, because satellites providing internet coverage wouldn't be much good if they went round once and then took off into outer space.
No, they wouldn't, Michael.
Frankly, you'd think we'd know more about this stuff. It's a bit like someone not realising that we landed on the moon.
Yes.
Actually, speaking of things like that, Angie, I saw a bright light in the sky the other night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very strange. It was huge, and it was hovering right above my house, really bright.
Was it round, Michael?
Yeah, perfectly round, and it had markings on it that looked like a face.
I think that might have been the...
I wonder if it'll come round again.
The old single-use satellite.
Yeah.
One lap and it's done.
Elon hasn't always hit winners business-wise, but no, he managed to get that one right with Starlink. 2 minutes to 9. Matthew Pantelis is coming up.
And Kylie from Glenelg North
Yes.
is off to see Dr. Jekyll and
Fantastic.
Mr. Hyde.
We'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, then you really need to speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want.